Howdy, howdy, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. Oh, I have to change the... title of the live stream. Howdy, howdy. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. I know that I have actually, in my view, what will probably be a pretty good Thursday today. You should debate Jesus and whatnot. You should go tell him to debate me. I've already offered him a debate. He says he's never heard of me, which is crazy because I have more followers than he does. But, and you know, as far as, in fact, it might actually be true that as far as live streamers who do atheism debates regularly, I might be the largest. Not the largest number of viewers, but I might have the largest number of followers. And that's because I also post science content and I get a lot of followers that way. So I'd be very surprised if he actually doesn't know who I am, unless he's just, you know, completely head in ass or something like that. Or maybe he doesn't spend a lot of time on TikTok and instead he spends time on YouTube. Yeah, I mean specifically on TikTok, by the way. There are obviously bigger ones on YouTube. But yeah, just go tell him to talk with me and I'm happy to talk with him. Let us bring up our first guest. Let's talk to Will. Will, how's it going?
It's going very well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Will, do you believe in a god?
I do.
I don't. Why should I?
Oh, okay. Perfect. So before we go into it, it's going to sound like a really weird question. What is your favorite food to eat?
Well, in the past, it probably would have been like grilled cheese and tomato soup, but now I can't eat that anymore.
Oh.
So, I'm, you know, it's hard to pick a good option now. But anyway, let's just go with that.
What about spaghetti? How does spaghetti?
Spaghetti's quite good.
Okay, what if I told you that my god is the big spaghetti monster, and he created...
Will, get out of here. Get out of here. I'll have none of that. We've spoken with Almat Ramor recently. We've spoken with Debates Are Useful recently. Let's talk to Forever Cell. Forever Cell, how's it going?
Hey, Mike.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm
Thanks
doing
for
all right.
accepting my request.
Yeah, of course. Forever Cell, do you believe in a god?
Of course, man. We're made out of God.
We're made out of God. I don't know what that means.
Well, the space is not empty. It's made of. It's not void like we've been taught in modern physics. It's actually a substance. It's not ether. It's not ether either. It's actually a multi-dimensional substance that can stretch and bend, fold, compress, and atoms.
How is this God?
Oh, because it's atoms are what you see are three-dimensional holes in this fabric of space.
How is this God?
Because let me explain. Because the space flows in and out of these holes, protons and electrons, you know, into higher dimensional space and back again. It's called the vortex theory. Well, I'm the expert of the vortex theory of atomic particles. You've heard of the final theory of everything?
No. But how is this God?
Oh, because the substance of God, if an atom, which we're made out of 12 different atoms, you know, if we can attain consciousness, then a rock with the same atoms or different atoms, with space flowing through the electrons and the protons, also can contain consciousness.
So how is this God?
Therefore, my friend, that is God.
Except you said that God is space where there isn't atoms.
Yeah, and believe it or not, space, the atom works. It's Trinitarian in nature. It uses three equations to.
Wait, how is space God?
I try to explain, my friend, sir. You know, you don't understand.
Look, I'm really trying to understand here, but you got to do a better job.
Okay, well, it's called before you kick me off, because you're probably going to do that. The vortex theory of atomic particles.
I don't
It's
care about your theory. I don't care about your theory
not
of
my theory,
atoms
it's
or
not my
space or
theory.
whatever. I don't care about that. I care about how this has anything to do with God.
I discovered anti-gravity too, so I'm the
Okay,
founding
cool.
father of
I
anti-gravity.
don't care about any of that. What does this have to do with God?
Huh?
What does this have to do with God?
Well, because we're made out of God. Everything.
That's the assertion. I want you to provide the evidence for that.
Okay, this is so easy to do. Okay, but just I want you to really understand.
I'm really
Everything
trying
that we
here.
see is made out of one substance. Everything.
Doesn't look like it.
It is. Every single thing is one substance.
But you said that we're
And
made out
from
of 12
this-
atoms. So which
the
one is
body
it?
is.
Yeah. So that's 12. That'd be
potassium,
12.
yeah.
That'd be 12 substances, not one.
Yeah, 12 different elements, you know. I mean, in 2006, I met Yuri Gonesian. He discovered all the man-made elements and the periodic elements. So
I mean,
you're talking to
that's
a
cool.
real
But the point is
physicist.
the point is that would be 12 substances, not one substance.
No, good question. I mean, good analogy. But atoms are three-dimensional holes in the fabric of space. Okay?
Cool. What does
So
this have to do with God?
Okay, perfect. Because if we have one substance, right, one space, one thing, okay, the different configurations of the substance makes up photons. Compress that space into one little dot. That's a photon.
Can you tell me what this has to do with God somehow, please? Because that is the topic here. I don't care about your theory of everything.
If the Bible, listen, I analyze religion with my with this. All religions fail except for this one, Christianity, because
you're a Christian?
space is, Catholic.
You're
space is
Catholic,
Trinitarian.
and you think that
Yes.
God is the vacuum of space?
Unbelievable, man! I destroyed every religion with this, with the
You're not a
four laws of
Catholic.
physics. Yeah, I am. Trust me, 100%.
Not with the
I'm the
dogma that you're
original.
proposing, but go ahead.
Oh man, I'm telling you, the Catholic faith is made. We made out of one substance. God is made out of one substance. Okay, co-equal, co-equal in nature from the same substance, like different configuration. Three
Wait,
persons.
is God empty space or is God atoms?
It's the most amazing part, man. God is made of something, and we've discovered
is
that
God made of
space-
empty space or is God made of atoms?
Well, it's God made space, and space is energy.
I'm pretty sure that you said earlier
and
that
we
God
can-
is space.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not jumping around. God
Sure,
is
you said
space.
that. I just
Space
want to
is
double
energy,
check.
And
I just want to double check.
energy also can be
Hold on.
can be
Forever South. Chill
space
for a
can
second.
be- what?
Go for a second.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
going
we're
to
gonna-
on TikTok, by the way. I'm going to play some playback.
I'll take time.
Let
So before we go into it,
Forever Cell, how's it going? How's it going?
Of course, man. We're made out of God.
We're made out of God. I don't know what that means.
Right.
Hold on.
Well, the space is not empty. It's made of. It's not void like we've been taught in modern physics. It's actually a substance. It's not ether. It's not ether either. It's actually a multi-dimensional substance that can stretch and bend, fold, compress. And
You don't have to repeat yourself. Is God?
Well, I know what I said. Oh, because it's atoms are what you see.
Okay, so you're right. I misremembered. So you said that we're made out of God, but you didn't say that space is God.
Well, that's why space.
So-
the conclusion
so-
is
okay, so we
using
agree.
physics. Listen, let's be honest. Scientists are scientists. When you realize that space, what we're made out of, atoms are just made out of space flowing in and out of these holes.
Wait,
It's a higher
atoms are
dimensional
made out of
space and time.
space?
Atoms are
Wait a minute.
three-dimensional
Hold on.
holes.
Now,
Okay, wait.
now you have me confused because you said that we're made out of God. You also said that we're made out of 12 different kinds of atoms, and now you're saying that atoms are made out of space. So how could we be made out of God and also made out of space, which makes up the atoms, which makes up us, unless God is space?
Good question. Because atoms are three-dimensional holes in this substance.
That's
Okay, and
great.
this substance.
But we're
So,
made out of God,
if-
so you're telling me that God is holes?
Think of it this way. Air
Wait a minute,
bubbles
hold
in
on.
water.
Are
Air
you,
bubbles
telling
in
me, are
water.
you telling me that the holes in Jesus' hands and feet were atoms?
Well, what atoms in your body are holes,
And the holes
You're
in
alive,
Jesus'
right?
bodies were atoms?
and the computer that you're using are made of atoms, right?
And what about the
every
holes in
single
Jesus'
atom-
body?
Every single atom, when Jesus' body created, he holds it together. As a matter of fact, Colossians 1:15-20.
He holds the atoms together.
Yeah, you see, the first thing
And
that God did
he's
in
the
whole
one that makes us up. But he's the holes in the space-time. The holes in the space-time are a metaphor for the holes in
doesn't exist.
So the holes,
fourth-dimensional space-time does not exist.
So the holes in space. So the holes in space are a metaphor for the holes in Jesus's hands.
No, my friend. It's a
So
literal.
then, what are the holes in Jesus's hands? Are they also atoms?
Amen. Well, Jesus Christ holds it all together.
But what about the holes in his hands?
Okay, well, you got to prove religion. Religion has to prove science, or has to destroy it. One of the two. Okay.
Wait, but so Jesus had holes in his hands, right? Were those holes in space?
And vice versa. Science has to.
And his hands
has to prove religion.
Wait. Jesus has holes in his hands, and his hands have holes in Jesus.
Your atom. Let's say start with the hydrogen atom. A proton is 1,800 times bigger than the electron. They are both three-dimensional holes. Okay, in this fabric we call space.
Are the holes in Jesus's hand? Are those three-dimensional holes or two-dimensional holes?
Did you hear what I said, my friend?
I just need a solid answer here.
Okay, I'm not sure.
It feels like you've been dodging.
You sound like you're really confused.
So Jesus has holes in his hand, right?
How many atoms make up a human being?
Why can't you answer my question?
How many elements? I'm asking you if you know. I said 12, right?
You said 12, yeah, but why can't you answer my question?
Of 12. All right, perfect. So
why can't you answer my question? Jesus has holes in his hand, right?
What do you mean? Yes, he did. When he got pierced.
Are those holes atoms?
No, that's space flowing through it. If there's air in there, those are atoms.
So the holes in his hands is the space flowing through the atoms.
Better yet, let's give it to you a better picture, because if you go between the Earth and the Sun, right? I took out and we have an atom of hydrogen in the middle. Okay, there's space surrounding the whole atom. No other, just one atom. Okay. And the atom, the proton, the electron are three-dimensional holes in this fabric we call space. It's not space-time. Space.
What's the difference
time is a
between
function.
A three-dimensional hole and a two-dimensional hole, like the holes in Jesus's hands?
That's three-dimensional, brother. Come on.
So the holes in Jesus's hands are three-dimensional.
Of course, everything you see is three-dimensional, right?
Okay, so the holes in space. A hole is when something can pass through to the other side. What's on the other side of space?
There's higher dimensional space.
What's on the other side of space?
Well, we've got 7 dimensions that were discovered so far. There's 12 that actually.
7 dimensions, you say?
Yes, from the vortex theory atomic particles.
Why weren't Jesus's holes 7-dimensional rather than 3-dimensional?
They are, because quarks are inside
Jesus's holes
protons.
are 7-dimensional.
Aren't quarks inside protons?
Sort of.
We think that they're made of protons.
But I mean, this is far, like we're far removed from actual physics here.
Yeah, this is the final theory of everything, man. Not only does it destroy all physics,
I suspect it
destroys all religion.
I suspect it's
the
not.
complete final theory of everything.
So I don't know how do you call yourself a Catholic?
Listen, my name is Fabian, just to let you know who I am.
That's cool.
I'm the founding father of anti-gravity.
What is God in your view?
Huh? VortexTheory.com, don't forget.
What is God? No free clout. What is God in your view?
God is the creator of you and me and everything.
Okay, so God is the creator. But so are you and I made of God?
Amen. Exactly.
Can you just say yes or no rather than like
yes,
kind of dodging?
Yes,
okay, so we're made of God. So if we're made of God, that means that like God can be broken up into pieces. Like I'm a bit made of God, and you're a bit made of God.
One substance flowing in every single atom.
I have some amount of God in me.
And a neutron, you know what a neutron is?
Wait, I thought you were going to answer questions.
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
So you and I are made of God.
That's right.
So part of God is in me.
No, yeah, it's a space that you're made
not
of.
All of God. Not all of God is made of it. Not all of God is in me. Part of God is in me.
Where's your soul?
Why are you asking questions?
Oh, okay, my bad.
So is part of God in me?
You are made out of God.
That wasn't my question. My question is part of God in me?
No, you are 100% made out of God.
Well, so I get that I'm 100% made out of, but like, look, so if I said that like, I'm made out of atoms, well, or I'm made out of the universe rather, it wouldn't be like the whole universe that's in me. It's only part of the universe that's in me.
Yeah.
So I'm asking.
You can equate that to your spirit.
I'm not all of God. Am I all of God, or am I just part of God?
Well, every single atom, space is flowing in and out of every single atom in your body, and going into higher dimensional space and back again. So it now enters the proton, it goes to higher dimensional space,
I don't care
My
about
gosh,
any of
let me
that. What does that have to do with
please.
God?
Well, you have to, because that can you understand why you're made out of God and what God is in you.
Unless
It's not
unless
most-
the atoms are made out of God, I don't care.
The atoms are not. The atoms are. Matter is an illusion. We're holes in this matter.
So then why are you bringing up atoms when I'm asking you our relationship with God?
The truthfully is because of your education, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It's a new concept.
I'm trying to get you to answer straightforward questions, but you're dodging.
Quantum mechanics. Oh, by the way, I also united general relativity.
I don't care. I don't care. I just want you to answer straightforward questions.
You're gonna find out. Remember my name, Fabian.
I really don't care.
Remember.
So you think
well, go ahead. That's my question.
Okay, what is God's relationship with reality?
Amen. We are made out of God. We are living in God. We are breathing in God.
Okay, so you're saying God
And
is
every
reality.
atom is amazing. Yes, man.
Okay,
and every single atom.
So
this
it
is
sounds
so
like you're a
amazing.
heretic.
Heretics
a
are people who
Catholic.
believe.
You're not a Catholic.
You know what?
Certainly.
You're not even a Catholic. You're
right, I'm not a
You're trying to
Catholic.
tell me you're a Catholic.
No, I mean, you're not a Catholic because Catholic dogma
100%.
requires
You know
that
what
God created
this is
freely
amazing,
and that God existed
And the
separate from
Big
the
Bang
universe.
did not occur. Did you know that? The Big Bang did not occur.
That's cool,
It's,
but you're not.
it's-
That's cool, but you're not
It's
a
an
Catholic.
singularity.
That's cool. You're not a
it became
Catholic,
a
though.
geometric inversion of space itself.
Okay,
That's how it started.
so we agree that you're not a Catholic, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm a
Well,
Catholic.
so Catholic dogma requires that God created the world and God is separate from the world. God created the world freely, and God could have chosen to not create the
Muslim.
world.
That's the Islam.
No, that's Catholic
God
dogma.
is omnipresent. God's omnipresent in the Catholic Christianity.
God is
Church.
everywhere, but God is not the same as
Exactly.
reality.
And Islam,
that's not
God
Catholic
is there Allah is
doctrine.
above His creation. So get it right. Your religion, at least.
No, I mean like this is Catholic dogma. Like we can look this up
no,
if you
it's
want.
not,
That God is separate from the
You
world.
don't know the Catholic. I'm teaching you.
I think that
you
you're.
know everything. You gotta Google
I
it.
don't
Why you
think you
gotta
are.
Google it? You should know it.
I'm gonna show you. I'm going to show you.
Stop Google, brother. Is God omnipresent in the Christian faith? That's what you should Google.
Here, how do you feel about AI overview? Actually, we can just go to
Is God
Catholic
transcendent
answers.
or is omnipresent in the Christian faith? Google that.
One sec. I'm gonna pull something up for you.
Yeah, you can post all you want, but you don't want to Google what I just told you, because you're gonna find the truth. In Islam, God is transcendent, above His creation. In Christianity, God is omnipresent.
Hold on.
He feels.
Chill for a sec, okay?
He feels His creation.
Chill for a sec, okay?
And believe it. All right.
So
Well,
here's a
you
Catholic
just keep
website.
Googling.
So
Let me.
I'm gonna show you a Catholic website.
Okay.
Here's a Catholic website called CatholicStand or CatholicStand.com. So it's a Catholic website.
How do you know where the Catholic bit? You know, when Muhammad had to ask a Christian.
In the beginning, there is nothing except God. No physical universe,
right,
no
amen.
angels, no laws governing anything, nothing except God. So God can't be the same as the physical universe.
Yes, it is. You know why? Let me rebuttal that. Okay?
He does not need the universe. It did not fulfill him in any way imaginable.
Let me rebuttal that.
He doesn't require the universe to exist.
Let me know when I can.
Yeah,
let
go
me know
ahead.
when you allow me.
We can also go look at CatholicAnswers.com.
You know, the
By
first
the way,
thing that God
Catholic.com.
did before. Okay, can I rebuttal it? Can I say
Yeah,
something?
go ahead.
All right. The first thing that God did in the Holy Bible was not Genesis. It was not Revelation. It was not nothing in there. The first thing that God did was make an exact image of Himself, and through this image, He created the whole universe. So we are living and breathing inside God. And in 1 Colossians 15:20, you'll read it. That's the introduction. And then when you go to the Jewish Torah, you will see that in Genesis 1, it says, in the beginning, in Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image. Because the first thing that God did was make an image of Himself. And through this image, He created the whole complete universe. And the angels, by the way. So when the angels were created, they were created for, and they're made to bow down to this image. And this image is Christ. Okay? So either the Bible, and also when you go to John 1:1, you figure out already, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and God was the Word. Okay? So that just refused and rebutted everything you're saying, and you can't deny it. So keep reading, because you're going to find the truth.
So you can believe those things, but that makes you a Catholic heretic. Forget
religion. Let's talk about physics. Okay?
No, that's not the topic today.
Okay, well, what do you want? Religion?
Well, the point is you called yourself a Catholic, but the
I'm
views that you're
versed in both
espousing are
of them, man.
heresy.
You're lucky I'm in your life, man. I can't believe we're talking. Finally, we meet. I cannot believe this. This is amazing.
I'm
man.
lucky you're on my live.
Yeah, man.
Is that what you just said?
I've discovered anti-gravity. I mean, I united general relativity and quantum quantum
Sure,
mechanics.
Jan.
I did. Not special relativity.
Sure, Jan.
Okay, that's a fluke. That's a fluke. General relativity, my friend.
I'm sure.
And the vortex. Listen to this. And the vortex. You can't Google it. It's not out yet. Then the vortex theory of atomic particle actually destroys all of physics.
I'm sure.
Okay, that's what
I'm sure.
It does.
We're in the presence of a visionary.
No, it's not a visionary. It's been hidden.
You're not a visionary.
Years. No, I'm not.
So just to be clear,
I humble myself, man.
Just to be clear, like you can have the beliefs that you want, but the point is that
no, it's not belief. It's actually proving. It's actually
the beliefs that you have
when you build two anti-gravity
in
devices,
conflict. The beliefs that you have are in. Why can't you
listen.
let me finish the sentence? I let you talk for so long. The beliefs that you have are in conflict with Catholic dogma, which makes you a heretic. So you don't have to be a Catholic, but if you call yourself a Catholic, then you're going to hell.
You're saying that, but you haven't proven it.
I just showed you 2 Catholic sources that indicate that.
You are such a liar, man. Come on, man.
I just showed you 2 Catholic sources.
Don't do that to yourself, bro, please. Come on, man. You can't rebuttal it. Everything I told you.
I just showed you 2 Catholic sources, and you didn't address them at all.
Go ahead. Try to do it one more time. Google whatever you got to do.
I literally just showed you 2 Catholic sources, and you didn't address them at all.
Google, man. Go ahead, my brother. Do what you got to do.
Did you hear what I said?
Just don't stutter.
Did you hear what I said?
No, I didn't, because you're trying to make things up, putting words in your own mouth and saying that you're calling me. You don't even know anything, brother. I'm teaching you.
I mean, I do.
Imagine if you could learn from Einstein.
You're just doing heresy, which is fine. You can do heresy, but you are going to mega hell.
What's heresy for you? Prove it. I'll let you speak.
Rejection of Catholic dogma.
You know, people who talk too much make mistakes. So go ahead.
I just told you. I just told you. I just showed you. In fact, I showed you Catholic websites.
What is it? What is it, Catholic?
That God is distinct from the world. God created the world freely, and God didn't have to create the world. That's Catholic dogma.
Show me again, brother. Show me again. You know what? I don't know where you pulled that one. That was like a rabbit out of the hat, brother. You know, you gotta be serious.
It's like you don't know anything about Catholicism. How do I know more about Catholicism than you do?
Wow, man, you know so much. You don't even know where you're at. That's what you know. You don't even know that atoms are made out of. You're made out of 12 different atoms. You don't even know anything. You don't know anything.
Have you ever been to the American Southwest?
Huh?
Have you ever been to the American Southwest?
I've traveled a lot. I don't remember. No.
Okay, well, you should go, because that'll train you for the temperatures that you're going to experience when you go to super hell.
Yeah, I met. You're talking about California.
It's like you have no ability to let me finish a sentence.
I met Steve Wozniak. I offered him.
It's like you have no ability to let me finish a sentence.
Or check this out. Wirelessgasoline.com. We can transfer.
No, I'm not going to check that out. Not only are you obviously batshit crazy, you're also insufferable. You won't let me finish a sentence. You cut me off at every turn. I'm not going to check it out, and I would advise nobody else to check it out, because you'll probably get a computer virus. All right, let's read some super chats. From Burger Cheese with the $2. Hey, Blitz, grateful for everything you do. Well, I appreciate that. And from Jack Fetter with the $2. Bro, you've been rebutted. Mic drop. I was rebutted, you're right. Yeah, I'm hesitant to say that he was drinking, but if he was, it's too early. All right, let us bring up our next guest. We have a lot of guests in the guest box, but I want to make sure that I grab the person who has been waiting the longest. I think KNY has been waiting for the longest. KNY, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good, man.
Glad to hear it. KNY, do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
Cool. Okay, I don't. Why should I?
So I looked at, first I just wanted to say, it's got to be 5 p.m. somewhere, right? That last guy.
I'm pretty sure he was American,
definitely... though. Oh, okay, yeah, no, he was
it's
was
not 5
crazy.
p.m. in America.
It was hilarious, man. I thought it was so funny how atheist was calling so-called believer a heretic. I mean, it's so funny because he was spewing a ton of heresy.
I mean, it was definitely heresy, right? 100% heresy.
It definitely was, dude. As a Christian, man, I was listening to him, I was cringing, dude. I was like, oh my God.
And like,
No wonder
you're
these
allowed to you're allowed to believe things that are heretical. Like, I'm not going to stop you from believing things that are heretical, but just recognize that means that you're not part of the, the Catholic faith or whatever.
It's like where's like the honesty, right? It's like if you know you don't know something, like just straight up say I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
But
anyway,
it's a really deep worldview. So I mean, you should be able to say that's parts of it you don't understand.
Exactly. So KNY, you said that you believe in God. You're a Christian, in fact. So why should I be?
Yeah. Actually, I just wanted to kind of. I don't think I can convince you, to believe in my God. I know that's what your prompt is. I don't think I can prove God's existence to you either. I just wanted to be completely honest and say that right off the bat. I really just wanted to make 3 points that kind of led me in the kind of direction or gave me a little bit of evidence, and when I say evidence, it's not evidence that I will expect you or any of your viewers to just kind of like accept, but
Sure.
I think it is evidence to me, and I'll just keep it simple. So my first point would be that Jesus Christ was a person, who existed.
Sure.
He really did exist. He was crucified under Pontius Pilate.
Agree
My
so
second
far.
my second point would be that he was definitely arguably one of the most influential people in history. We live 26
Not during
years.
his lifetime.
Yeah, he was definitely not too popular during his lifetime.
And honestly, not really in like, the few decades after his lifetime either.
No, it definitely. I would definitely agree that it took some time for.
I would probably agree
Christianity
that he wasn't
to grow and
influential.
spread.
I would probably say that he wasn't influential, but rather the following, the tradition, the cults, the religion, whatever you want to call it.
The impact his life.
Yeah, his story. Death, and
his
story was influential.
So-called
perhaps.
Resurrection, right? Like kind of.
I would say his story was influential. Perhaps not. He as a person, perhaps not, but his story certainly. I agree with that.
Yeah. I could definitely see why you would say that, right? The impact that this person left
because like
through their life.
The reality is like in the 70 years after, like like in the first century, the reality is like only like a thousand-ish Jews converted to Christianity, which is just not very many. Like it's just.
It's actually funny because what you're saying, like it totally like tracks with what like even prophecy said about him. Like when he comes, you guys are gonna really not. You're gonna miss it. It's gonna go right over your heads, and this, basically according to the Bible. I don't want to like go too much into it, but through like the rejection of the Jews.
By the way, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I know my voice is kind of like high pitched, so
yeah,
just bear with me. So like basically through like, the rejection of his own people, it was scripturally speaking, right? He was able to save like Gentiles, which is basically me and you, everybody who's not a Jew. So through that rejection, it's kind of like, Paul talks about it in Romans. I don't want to bore you with that right now, but I'm just saying I definitely see why you say that, and I totally agree,
Yeah.
Let me just, sorry.
So what was the third thing? What was the third thing?
And for me, the third thing is this person, right, of Jesus Christ. He made some pretty serious claims. He made some pretty serious claims. I'm the Son of God. I've existed eternally. Before, the world began. All these really crazy things that you're probably a psycho for saying, like, if it's not true, right? And and he claimed to,
or a grifter.
Exactly. And he said, he definitely. I mean, I would say if he was grifting, I mean, the only thing he really grifted was his own death, right? Unpopularity. That kind of.
You're still talking about him 2,000 years later, so I don't know, man. How unsuccessful was he?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just saying, like, grifting in the sense that it didn't benefit him, I guess, in any earthly way. If that makes sense.
I mean, he did have people who followed him around and paid attention to what he said.
Yeah, definitely. And those people all died. He had
influence.
Pretty gruesome deaths.
Well, that's to be debated, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, let me just wrap up my last point. I know
sure,
I'm pretty sure there's other lunatics on here that your guests get a kick out of.
I'd rather talk with normal people. But...
I've came across your lives a few times, and every time it's always like some crazy person or somebody like, I guess I could say, like, claims to be of the faith, believes in a God. And I'm not saying they don't believe in a God, right? They probably with all their mind and heart or whatever they believe in God, but it's like don't go into conversations that you like genuinely you're not prepared for. You know, at
I
least
agree.
like be able to like.
Why rather than doing the meta, why not give me your last point?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
My last point was this guy. He claimed to give eternal life if you put your faith and trust in him. You know, and those are basically like my 3 points wrapped up. Yeah, you know, that's exactly my 3 points is he made some pretty crazy claims. Just to summarize, he existed, and my last point is that he had a pretty crazy impact. So I mean, in my opinion, I think it's worth considering. Like, I mean, we're not here forever, right? Like, I could die tomorrow.
I don't think that we have to pay attention to everything crazy that every influential person says, right?
I agree. I definitely agree. You know, but I think when it comes to the subject of like life and death, you know, something that we have no answers for, literally, you know, what happens after death, like it's I mean, you could kind of see why, you know, it had such a crazy impact.
I can understand
right,
why it had the impact, given the kinds of people who were around at the time and what they believed. Like, it seems like that they would be super amenable to, you know, slightly adjusting their belief to believe what he says. But I don't think that means that we should believe it. But look, KNY, it does. You did sound like you only just wanted to bring up that. If you want to talk about those things, we can. But otherwise, you know, there's not much more to say.
I just kind of wanted to put that out there. You know, I did preface by saying, you know, like I don't think I would be able to convince you of a God. You know, the kind of evidence you're looking for, I don't think I can present. You know, I don't think any believer, any Christian can present, you know, that kind of evidence.
Some people would disagree with you.
I definitely yeah, well, you know, they're probably either like really ignorant or they just, you know, maybe really believe something and think they can somehow force that on someone else, but I don't think that's how it works. That's not what we're called to do. I just want to say for every Christian out there, like, that's not how we're called to do things.
Well,
but
and why if you don't want to do that,
I just wanted to finish off. Sorry.
Go ahead, make it quick.
Sorry. Sorry. So oh, dude, I lost my train of thought. Like, sometimes my head's all over the place. No, those were the 3 things that I kind of just wanted to bring up. And that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thanks for being here, KNY. Doesn't sound like you want to do the debate thing, which I respect. You don't have to. I'm not going to make you do the debate thing, but, you know, I'm not going to keep pushing you in a direction that you don't want to go. From Scruffy Mans with the $5, he can claim to be a different subsect or something, but if he entered a Catholic church and he said that, he would be doing 10 Mary prayers, 10 Mary prayers at least. 10 Mary prayers at least. Yes, indeed he would. That's exactly the point that I was getting at. Let's talk to Coco. Coco. Oh, Coco left. What just happened to my guest box? It like completely emptied out. That was weird. All right, well, let's talk to Chainsmoker. Chainsmoker, how's it going? You have to unmute yourself.
There we go.
Howdy.
Hi, how's it going? I just want to say, first off, I'm a huge fan of your channel. I'm a huge science lover. I think that science can be separate. And I have a few arguments I'd like to pose and get your side on.
Yeah, sounds good. So, first, before you make your argument, just that way then I don't, you know, accidentally misattribute your beliefs. Do you associate yourself with a particular religion or a particular worldview regarding faith?
Yes, kind of. I would say I'm a Christian, but not your normal type of Christian. Like, I believe that Christ probably never actually claimed himself to be God, and that the Roman Catholic Church inserted that as a way to try to create this religion that they could control all their different groups of peoples by.
Okay,
but
sure.
I do believe there is a creator, and that one of my favorite things to call it is the unmoved mover, the essential being.
So you're like some sort of Gnostic?
Yes, and in fact, I think that it's much more likely that if there is. So I want to start by saying there's no way, and I think you'll agree with me at this, there's no way I could convince you that God exists.
I mean, if you gave a compelling enough argument, you could.
I believe that you can only get it to that there's a higher chance of God existing than him not existing.
Well, that's how you convince somebody. That's how you convince somebody, right? You raise their credence in a particular proposition, and when it gets sufficiently high, then you've convinced them.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. I'm just saying that I don't think there's any way you could 100% prove without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm not asking for that.
Exists.
I'm just asking for evidence.
All right, so
ideally compelling evidence. Go ahead.
The first bit of evidence I'd like to propose is obviously the argument of fine-tuning, which I know that there's a lot of things against this, mainly that the multiverse theory is one potential theory that gets around fine-tuning. But I think that if you really look at it, all the incredible ways that physics works and how life evolved and all this different stuff, the fact that Earth just came out of this era where the universe was incredibly unstable, and right when that stability starts to hit, we're one of the first planets that arose, and right when Earth itself was habitable to life, this thing started, and we've
doesn't that actually
abiogenesis.
Sorry to cut you off, but what you're suggesting is that life formed in our universe on Earth basically as early as it could have, which would in fact indicate that the universe isn't particularly fine-tuned at all, just that life is life is easy to form.
See, I disagree with that. I think that if that were the case, and that it's really easy for life to pop up out of these simple, like a tide pool with amino acids or whatever the abiogenesis people are trying to go for nowadays, but we've done a lot of research into abiogenesis and have not been, there's a lot of problems still that sure, maybe one day the scientists will figure it out. And
what are the problems?
But right now, what's that?
What are the problems?
Mainly with like coupling amino acids to form long RNA chains that self-replicate. We haven't been able to do that in the lab. Even like, I'm sure that if we do create abiogenesis, it will be even simpler than probably even RNA, but we still haven't been able to create anything through non-biological processes, just using like solutions of amino acids to create long chains of RNA that can self-replicate.
So okay, so so if by self-replicate you just mean like you just mean life, then sure. But there are tons of reactions that have been done in labs that are called autocatalyzing, which are just self-replicating molecules. And
yeah, but
many of them are organic in nature because they're they're polymer or they're carbon chains. So like,
yeah,
what's the distinguishing feature that you're suggesting that we haven't done? Because like I agree, like we haven't done the entire process of abiogenesis in a lab, but it doesn't seem like there's any like big conceptual gap that we're missing. It's just trying to figure out a way to make it all work together, because it seems like all of the steps actually kind of are in place.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, there could be research that comes out in the future that actually fixes those final steps, but it's just the fact that it is so incredibly complicated, and these things that we have been able to make, the self-replicating molecules, organic or not, they don't even come close to the complexity of the first like single-celled organisms that we have evidence for. So there's this huge gap in between these.
But look, if you're making the claim, okay, so there's kind of two prongs here, and you're kind of fighting yourself on both sides. So on the one hand, you're saying that like the universe is fine-tuned, and therefore life can form on its own. But on the other hand, you're arguing against the possibility, or arguing against the plausibility of abiogenesis, which would require God's divine intervention, therefore. And therefore, that would mean that the universe isn't fine-tuned. So, like, which one is it?
Well, so it can be both, because for you to be able to create these complex life systems, let's say you're the creator, you have to build a physics-based universe in which these ideas that you have can propagate. Now, just because you made a universe that can allow these things to happen doesn't mean that they're automatically going to happen. You might need to step in and force it to happen.
But then it's just not fine-tuned for life then. If it's so difficult to make it happen that it requires divine intervention, then it's not fine-tuned for life. It could have been more fine-tuned.
Yeah, it could have been more fine-tuned, but it's fine-tuned enough that life,
you can't say it's fine-tuned if it's fine-tuned enough, right? Fine-tuning is that it's optimal for life, not just that it's like, good enough that it maybe could exist. That's not what fine-tuning is.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get at is that
it's just regular tuned.
It has to be fine-tuned enough for life to exist in the first place. So whether or not it's abiogenesis or divine creation, the universe has to have laws that are conducive to life so that life can exist.
But look, if God was going to have to do divine intervention anyway to make life, he didn't need to fine-tune it at all. He could have just made life he could have just made like electrons have internal experiences and like have relationships with each other by communicating via mental waves at speeds faster than light. Like he could have just done that and he wouldn't have needed physics at all. He wouldn't have needed complicated physics at all. Like, so if he was going to do divine intervention, it seems like he did too much. Seems like he did too much designing the universe if he was going to do divine intervention anyway.
Yeah, and that's because I believe even God himself can't do the impossible. He has to obey logical, like he can't logically contradict himself. And
sure,
these ideas of like
what's the contradiction of electrons and love?
Electrons, like what mechanism would be there? Like it's like saying, oh, there's this quantum field that God could have made that just has like telepathy in it. It just seems.
What's the contradiction?
I don't think that's logically possible. I think that's
if you say something's not logically, if you think something's logically impossible, then what that means is that you think that there's a contradiction there. What's the contradiction?
Yeah, I believe that you can't pack that much information into like something involving Planck lengths and so small.
What's the contradiction? Like, so a logical contradiction is when, like, an example of a logical contradiction would be like a married bachelor, right? A bachelor is by definition a person that is unmarried, and so a married unmarried person would be a contradiction. So I'm asking you for what's the contradiction? What makes it logically impossible? Not like physically impossible, not metaphysically impossible, because God can do those things. What makes it logically impossible?
See,
what's the P and not P?
See, I don't think that God can do. I think he's bound by certain laws that we don't understand.
Yeah, you said he's bound by the logical laws, not physical laws. If you think he's bound by the physical laws, then like he can't do divine intervention.
Yeah,
because divine intervention breaks the physical laws, right?
Kind of. So my idea of divine intervention isn't like him showing up in physical form and moving the stuff
sure it does.
Just the right way. But my idea of divine intervention is setting up the initial conditions of the universe so that all these incredible things that would not have happened if the universe were just random and not set up in this perfect initial condition, life would not have formed. But because he set the universe, or they, because I don't want to gender God.
It's fine. It's standard English at this point.
The initial conditions.
If he can set the initial conditions, he can change the initial conditions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so changing the initial conditions would be changing the position of, say, the particles that were initially in place. So he can just move things around on his own.
At the beginning of the universe, I think once he sets stuff in motion.
Oh, so you're saying that he can't interact with the world after the universe starts?
No, I totally disagree with the idea of God came down and talked to me. I think God is so far outside the universe.
You call yourself a Christian?
Yeah, I believe in the moral teachings of Jesus. I believe Jesus was a man who taught moral absolutes. I'm a moral objectivist.
Did he rise from the dead?
No, I don't believe that. I believe that was created by the Roman Catholic Church.
I'm not sure if you're a Christian, even a Gnostic.
Like I said, I consider myself a Christian because I follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, at least what I believe were his actual teachings. And a lot of Christians will call me a heretic. But I believe in a God that's outside the universe. I don't
Okay,
and
so
I
then the real question is, okay, that's fair. I totally get that. You can be a heretic, you can be a non-Christian Christian. Doesn't matter to me. But how did Jesus have access to the moral or the moral facts of the world?
I think through logic, and I think if it wasn't him, someone else would have came up with them.
Okay, so in your view, in your view, God is entirely inaccessible. God plays no role in the world except setting initial conditions.
Yeah, so that life could arise and create what I believe to be his greatest creation, us humans.
Okay, that's fine. Why couldn't God just set the initial conditions so that electrons could be in love with each other and you didn't need these complicated laws of physics?
Like I said, because that's something, it's unfalsifiable. We can never know if that's possible in the first place. And my position on that is that it's impossible.
It's certainly logically possible. There's no built-in in the terms consciousness and electron, there's no inbuilt contradiction, right? In the same way that there is an inbuilt contradiction in the terms married and bachelor. So
yeah,
I mean, there isn't a logical contradiction there. Now, you might say that there's like some sort of metaphysical contradiction, but that requires some metaphysical laws about what minds are. And it seems like that the God that you believe in should be able to set what those metaphysical laws are to begin with.
I don't think so. I think there's
so the God that you believe in is constrained by metaphysics.
Yes, and logic.
Okay.
And
so
we have
it just
no
sounds
way
like
since we.
It doesn't sound like this God is all powerful.
No, I don't believe in omnipotent, omniscience, or all good either. Because if the problem of evil is a huge problem against an all good God,
so is this just like a guy?
Powerful. No, I believe it's a necessary being, the start, like unmoved mover.
Does it even have a
thing
mind?
that has to I couldn't tell you because, like I said,
doesn't sound like it's a God.
The universe. Some people may argue it's just the laws of the universe, but I think that there is like some sort of creator, like whether
or not. If the thing doesn't have a mind, if it's just the laws of the universe, say, then it's not a creator any more than like a cloud is a creator of raindrops. Like, no, raindrops just happen because of clouds, but the cloud didn't create the raindrop.
Yeah, I'm like, what I'm trying to say is that we can't equate the mind of God, if that's what you want to call it, to the mind of man.
I'm not saying that. I'm not equating them. I'm just saying that I'm just asking whether it has a mind at all. Not a mind of man, just a mind at all.
It depends on your definition of mind. Like, do you mean like thinking?
The kinds of things that agents have. So this would include like a will. This would have thoughts, perhaps. This would have mental states.
I do believe there's something along that line, because the God would have had to like come up with some sort of idea to create the universe and set the initial conditions so that this stuff could happen.
Okay,
so there has to be.
So if God's capable of having ideas, i.e., God's capable of having minds, then it sounds like there aren't really any physical constraints on what kinds of things can have minds, because God's not even physical at all.
Yeah, because he's completely outside of the universe.
So why couldn't he just give electrons that kind of mind? The kind that doesn't require anything physical at all?
Well, I mean, maybe he made a universe that we don't exist in that's there.
But my point is that if he could have made a universe filled with electrons who love each other, and and maybe they eventually find their way to God, and then they can figure out how to love God and all of these things, then it seems like we don't have a good reason to expect that God would create a universe like ours. So under the God hypothesis you're proposing, fine-tuning is not expected.
I mean, it is, because he could have created all these other universes that we'd have no access to. Maybe we're just like an experiment, but
okay. But so then your explanation for fine-tuning is a multiverse.
No, because
that's what he would have created all these other universes, and the reason why we're in this one is because this is the one that we're in.
Okay, I did kind of back myself into a corner there. I'm not actually I'm actually an atheist. I just
I
wanted
hate
to
you.
try
I
to.
hate you personally. You're a bad person. You wasted so much of my time. Mods, block him, ban him from the server. His name was Chainsmoker. From Woolite Mammoth with the $2. What if electrons do love each other? They might. They might love each other, actually, and we wouldn't know. You get no forgiveness. There is no repentance here. You wasted 17 minutes of my time. All right, let's talk to Ty Jordan. Cast him out. Straight to Gehenna. Ty Jordan,
All right, man,
how's
how's
it
it
going?
going, dude? Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Ty, do you believe in a god?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, and which god is that?
That is the Christian God. So, something that you have to understand is that there are different denominations within Christianity, right?
Yep, I know.
And depending on which denomination you ask, Jesus Christ is either the Son of God or it's God in the flesh, right? So,
Well, which one
nonetheless,
do you
it
believe?
is still, I believe that it is okay. So, for me personally, I believe.
By the way, I'm pretty
that
sure that those are
God-
like, I'm pretty sure that like any denomination of Christianity that's like in line with the you know, the Nicene Council, like and you know the Nicene Council will say that those two things are the same thing, that Jesus
Yes.
is both the Son of God and God in the flesh.
Yes.
And otherwise
because
you're
you have the
probably
Holy
a
Trinity.
heretic.
Right, because you have the Holy Trinity, right? You have
Yeah,
God
exactly.
the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Kind of like how if you're a father, but you're also a son and a brother, you can be three things at one time. But to get straight to the point, man, without trying to dive into the Bible, because the Bible, if you're really big into science, man, you can kind of pluck away at it, right? We can go back and forth all day. The moral of the story is to convince you that God is real, and that is to simply just look around you, right? The way that I
Looking
view it,
around
the way
me.
I've talked to people, yeah, if you'll like in the sense of okay, how everything it points to one creator, right? So
Does it?
humans, so like humans
I'm not so sure.
and animals, humans and animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all
Humans and
share
animals.
the same characteristics, right?
Yeah,
As in,
yeah. That's expected under evolution.
right. So like, but not necessarily. If you're talking about evolution, as in one species is evolving to be something else, right?
Yep.
So, but we're talking about simply humans and let's say dogs, prime example, right? So humans and dogs, we both have brains, right? We both have a conscious, we know what's going on, right?
Yep.
We both can see things. We both have the similar digestive systems, right?
Yep.
The way we
As
process
expected for
foods,
mammals, because mammals share a common ancestor, so we expect from evolution that we expect these traits to be retained.
But when you're talking about evolution,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're going off of if you're an atheist, right, which I'm assuming you are because you're really big into science. Okay, so
it says God isn't real.
Exactly. So if you believe if you're going based off evolution that man evolved from apes, right? Well then, but man didn't evolve from dogs.
We are
but
apes.
But man did not evolve from dogs. So then why?
No, but we're mammals. We evolved from the same mammals that dogs did.
But okay, and what mammal would that be then? What is that one mammal that everything split away from?
Let me go pull up the name of the first mammal for you.
If you could, please, because
the earliest known and widely cited candidate for the first true mammal is Brachylaudon quadrilanguris.
Okay. And so
it's like a shrew, shrew kind of thing.
Okay. So then why is it that if the world's been around for, I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you in our perceptive years, right? Because biblically, God's time and our time are two totally different things, right? My concept of time versus his concept of time are nowhere close to being the same, right? But why is it that we don't see those evolutionary changes as long as science has been around documenting? And you would think that you would sit there and
we do see them.
Like man has evolved to become what we are as far as being the superior race of animal, right? We have developed
superior
technology.
is subjective.
We have Subjective.
We're the smartest, perhaps.
Well, definitely the smart, but also, I mean, look at
we're
us
definitely
right
not
now.
the strongest, right? Gorillas got us beat
definitely
there.
they do have us beat.
We're definitely not the toughest. Rhinos have us beat.
Right, they do have us beat, but in the sense
we're not the most cooperative. Ants have us beat.
But God created man to be the dominant species.
Well, that's the claim. I don't know why I should think that's true.
Well, but because he created man in his image. But when we say it's in his image, because God is a spiritual being, right? He has no physical form. Okay, he created when people say that God created us in his image, it's our soul, it's our moral compass, it's the way look,
I understand the claim. I just want to know why I should think the claim is true.
But that's the point that I made without getting into anything in the Bible and scriptures and stuff like that. It's the simple fact of how the world works and how everything around us happens. Well, like prime example, right? I know I wouldn't bring it up, but just a small example, right? When God said, "Let there be light," right? If you look at sonograms of when a sperm, when I know
what you're gonna say.
Exactly. So you know that one, right?
Yeah, it's not real. It's not a real biological phenomenon.
So then, in what way do you believe that there is no higher power that created anything? Because if you the Big Bang, even right, people like atheists, right? Oh, well, we're created from molecules. It's the Big Bang. That's the same thing as let there be light, right? We were here.
No, it's not. The Big Bang existed before light existed.
But how could the Big Bang exist if, those particles, there's no way that an explosion of particles created everything that you see around you right now.
Also, it wasn't an explosion, it was a rapid expansion.
How is that even feasibly possible when there's no way that a particle from an event like that, right, could create individuals that have digestive systems.
This just sounds like incredulity. You're just saying, like, I don't understand how it could work, therefore it didn't happen.
Well,
that's not an argument.
Because the argument is that everything creates a creator. It doesn't point to a direction of a scientific thing that this just happened and we're gonna run with it. Yeah, sure.
What?
No, it points to a creator.
I mean, like the story of cosmology, of how we go from a very early, hot, dense universe rapidly expanding to life today on Earth is very well understood. There's not really any missing steps that we don't get how it happened.
But who is creating? And here's some, I guess, more food for thought then, right? Because if somebody is just like me, right? I'm firm in my belief that God is real. You're firm in your belief that he isn't real. You can throw all the scientific evidence at me all day long. If in my heart of hearts, I don't accept it, I don't, and vice versa, right? Earlier you told the guy who claimed that he was a Christian, he could make a big enough argument to make you change your mind, right? And in theory, that is true. Yeah. But in your heart of hearts, if you're dead set on that path.
No, Jordan, perhaps here's the difference between you and me. The reason why I believe what I believe is because I've examined the evidence, I've considered the arguments, and I've evaluated the data, and it comes out in favor of atheism. So, but it sounds like what you're telling me is that even if I give you the data, even if I give you the evidence and the arguments, you wouldn't change your view. That just seems irrational.
Well, but it's not irrational if your views are man-made, right? Obviously,
I don't know what it means for a view to be man-made. All views are man-made because people make up. All views are man-made. That doesn't mean that they're not true.
Exactly. Views are man-made.
All views, including Christianity. Christianity is also man-made.
Like people in the comment section can say,
don't read the comments.
Religion was man-made.
Don't read the comments. Don't worry about it.
Earlier when you were talking to that guy.
Sure.
Right?
Okay,
and
but
people
it's
oh, hey, all religions are man-made, right? But then why is it that you look at the Bible?
Literally all ideas are man-made, obviously. All ideas are man-made. Like this is not debatable. Right. All ideas are obviously man-made. Clearly we agree on this, right?
Even if you sit there though and you take Christianity, like my God, out of the equation, and you look at the Quran, right?
Yep, still
man-made. The Quran and the Bible have similar stories.
Yep.
And then that talk
Both
about
man-made.
great floods and stuff like that, which there's no coincidence because that happened. That was a global phenomenon. Obviously, there was people all around the world.
Wait, do you think that the Great Flood happened?
Absolutely, it did.
Oh, how did the koalas get to Australia?
How the koalas get to Australia?
Yeah.
Probably fucking people.
Be completely real with you.
Who? Everybody was dead except Noah and his family.
If you have koalas in Australia, so let me ask you this: do you believe that at one point in time, every piece of landmass was all connected, and then the shifts of, because you're, scientifically, right? Obviously, there's shifts in tectonic plates and stuff like that. They're going to cause land masses to separate, right?
Yep. And sometimes they're combined, sometimes they're different continents, sometimes they're split.
110%.
It just depends on what it was.
Why do you think there's different breeds and different there's different breeds of lions, right, and tigers and stuff like that around the world?
They're different species.
But there's the same. You can have a.
But how did the koalas get to Australia? There's what, like, koalas don't swim.
Right, and you're simply asking me a question that I just don't have an answer to be completely honest with you, because my goal here is not to sit there and be. I don't sit there.
Like, this is the kind of thing that should bother you, though, right? Like, we know that koalas are. We know that there are koalas in Australia. We know that there have been koalas in Australia for a long time because we have fossils and bones, right? So how did the koalas get there before people got there?
Unless, I mean, if all land masses were connected,
they were. Do you think that all of the land masses were connected after the flood?
I think that all land masses at one point in time. I cannot tell you if all land masses were connected before the flood or not.
I don't care about before the flood. I don't care about before the flood. I'm talking about after the flood.
After the flood?
Because after the flood is when the koala. So flood ends. The only koalas in existence are on Mount Ararat, somewhere in the Middle East, on Noah's Ark. Now this is the flood. The floodwaters recede. All of the animals come out. Floodwaters recede, and now the continents are arranged the way they are, the way that they currently are. So how do the koalas go from the Middle East, West Asia, to Australia when there's hundreds of miles of ocean between them that they would have to cross? Because it can't be that the continents were still attached even after Noah's flood. Because if that were the case, then we would need to account for a slow process. Like, a flood is a catastrophic thing, but after the flood, there's no more catastrophic things. So you can't account for how the continents split as far as they did after 4,000 years and 4,000 years only. There's just not enough time. We know how fast the continents are moving. They move at like 1 inch per year.
Right.
So, like, how do the koalas, after the flood is over, after all of the continents are already in their current places, how do the koalas get from the Middle East to Australia?
Probably swept away through water.
They don't swim.
Swept away, not swimming, swept away.
Wait, they would have been dead.
Exactly. So if
I'm talking about the living koalas.
Yes. If you die, and you're in a body of water, if you die and you're in a body of water, your body just doesn't disintegrate, right? It's gonna get carried away. It's gonna happen.
But how did the living koalas get there? Because there are living koalas in Australia.
Again, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
That should bother you. Because this isn't just a koala problem. Literally every land animal that's on Australia, you have to explain how it got there. Literally every land animal that's in North America and South America, you have to explain how it got there. Any land animals on any islands, you have to explain how they got there over the course of the last 4,000 years, when many of these places have had people in them for a very long time. So like we know that those animals have existed there for a very long time because people have recorded them. So, like, how are you explaining why are there llamas in the Andes? Why are there koalas in Australia? Like, how does any of this work?
Yeah, you tell me, because to me, the animals being in
the explanation
area,
is that there wasn't a flood.
Okay, so your explanation is there wasn't a flood. Okay.
Yeah, and that's in agreement with all of the other data that we have.
Okay. So then what is your viewpoint on just the pure sole fact of what Christians believe? Like, what is other than your viewpoints on the animals, right? Because obviously you're saying that's one of your arguments to try to as far as debunking the Bible goes, or debunking Christianity, religion as a whole, because you don't think that any religions are true, right? So
I don't think but specifically the question of the flood is specific for those who believe in the Bible literally.
Right. But the fact that, you know, you're dismissing the idea or the possibility, right? Because I think that that God's real, right? I believe in Christianity, just like Buddhists believe in what they believe in, and all these other religions, that they believe in their gods and what they worship and how everything began for their people, right? But and as far as your scientific evidence goes that you have, what about the countries who don't have the same technological advances that we have, right? And they still live in third world countries where they don't, and that's all they have is their religion, right? So to them, that's tried and true. That is what it is, right?
It doesn't make it actually true. That just says that those people think it's true because they don't have the evidence.
So can you please explain to me just like what made you determine, like in a nutshell, right? Because I told you what made me pretty much like, you know what? Yes, this makes sense, right? Everything points to one creator because the way the universe works, the way that everything is in sync, right? We rely on trees, and everything relies on one another. We have similar characteristics to these other animals, and you know, other than humans.
This is exactly what you'd expect given evolution.
Right, but obviously species are going to evolve because you have to evolve and adapt because things are going to constantly change around you.
Given the evolutionary process, we would expect to find ecosystems that are mutually dependent on each other.
But we evolve every single day. Whether it may not be, but
it's not really what evolution is. Evolution is a population level change. It's not an individual level change.
Yes, but as far as species goes, right, we are constantly making evolutionary changes to our day-to-day lives.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what you think you mean by that.
Prime example, right? We're talking about leaps, right? We're evolving as a species. So when we discovered fire, right, we made evolution. Fire. But you're talking about evolving as a species. Evolving is getting better. Evolving is progression.
Evolution is a very specific biological phenomenon where a population, where the what is it? It starts with an F, a PH rather. It's the phenotype. It is a change in phenotype in a population over time. That's what evolution is. It has nothing to do with like fire.
But when you're talking about evolving, you're talking about progression. Right, you're talking about making advances.
That's just not what evolution is. Evolution is not like making fire. Evolution is change in phenotype in a population over time.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So
maybe it's genotype. Who knows?
So
no, actually, I think evolution only acts on phenotypes. The genotypes control the phenotypes, but anyway.
So one thing that I hear a lot of atheists talk about is how, because obviously we know that dinosaurs existed, right? We know that dinosaurs were here because we found fossils of them, right? We call them dinosaurs. That's just what man has named.
That's the word for that's. Yep, we have these fossils of these giant lizard-like things. Yep. Yes.
Now in the Bible, it does talk about, and I could try to find the exact wordage for you if you would like me to, but it does talk about that there were these large. It was almost like large lizards. Right.
It talks about dragons. It talks about behemoths. It talks about leviathans.
That roamed the earth. Right. So that is one argument that I think, because it's not like a very broad topic. It's not a very broad thing in the Bible. It's not talked about a whole lot. Right. It's like very one small section from, at least from what I've read of it, that it's not a widespread thing. Right. But it's one of those things that atheists or non-believers of, religions who don't have that incorporated into their book of faith.
Is this supposed to be an argument against evolution?
It's an argument. It's an argument against the fact that atheists will try to pick apart things or try to say, oh, well, the Bible doesn't say anything about this, but look at this, look what we found.
I didn't say that. So who are you making this argument? Who are you making this argument against?
So
it's not me.
But the argument against it is.
You want to know what my arguments are? Then you could ask me.
That's what I was asking you earlier. What is your?
But then you actually have to let me talk and tell you what the arguments are.
Right. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the reason why, like, if you're talking about like a god generically. The reason why I don't think a god generically exists, like some sort of creator being, is because a creator being, like a god, would have to be a kind of disembodied mind, i.e. a mind without a physical body. And all of the evidence that we've ever seen, all of the, billions of humans that have existed. These are all things with minds, and then also probably like dogs and dolphins and elephants. These are also things with minds. So billions of organisms that have minds, they're always attached to bodies. So just right out the gate, we have overwhelming evidence that whenever we see a mind, it is attached to a body. And what you're telling me is that this God being is supposed to be a mind without a body. So we already have good reason to think that such a thing, it doesn't exist. If you couple that with further ideas like the mind or a mind is a kind of thing that has to exist in time so that it can undergo mental processes and it can engage in rational thought. Well, if this God creator being is the kind of being that created all of space-time, that means that it existed non-temporally, which is exactly the kind of thing that can't engage in rational thought in the process of thinking, because there's no time in which it can happen. So we already have good reason to think that there are no disembodied atemporal minds. And then once you start tacking on religions, things get even less and less plausible, because we start invoking miracles, we start going against well-documented scientific evidence, and we just end up with something that's like obviously not true.
So then what was Jesus Christ? That was a mind with a body.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Father here in the Christianity language.
Yes, right. But
Jesus, like, I believe that Jesus existed. He was probably a dude that had a mind and had a body. But the
Father,
point is that we're talking about the creator. The creator would have been a disembodied mind because there was no physical stuff yet. But it would have been a non-temporal mind because there was no time yet.
Yes, but we also have previously discussed that there's the Holy Trinity, right? God the Father, God the Son.
Before the universe existed, did God have a body?
Did God have a body?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because it's God the Father, God the Spirit, and God the God the
so
Son.
God didn't have a body
Christ,
before creating the universe. Did God exist in time before creating the universe?
Well, because he is time. He is everything. So yes, he is.
Hold on, you don't want to say that. If he is everything, then that means that he's not separate from creation.
But he created creation.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that he is creation. That doesn't mean he is creation. It just means he created creation.
He is where he is from start to finish. He is where it started, and he is where it ends. Right.
That's fine. But do you think that God existed alone at any point, or not alone, but like God existed with only the Trinity and not physical reality at any point?
Depends on your thought process.
I'm asking you.
Do I think that he ever
existed? He ever existed absent the physical world?
Absent of this physical world that we know today?
Any physical world?
Well, at some point he had to have, right? Because he had to create everything.
Which means that he would have existed outside of time. And if he existed outside of time, then there's no time in which he can be a mind.
But how? Okay.
And there'd be no matter in which he could have a body.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, but he has to create that time in order to
My point is that what you're suggesting is that there's a mind without a body and a mind without time, and we have all of the evidence in the world that says that no such things exist.
But we already have the conclusion that he is mind. He already has mind and body in the form of Jesus Christ.
But that would have been after the world. I don't have an issue with like this. This argument isn't relevant once the universe already exists. I'm talking about the state of affairs of the universe before, or state of affairs of reality before the universe existed.
But who is to say, right? Because I'm not to say, and nobody is to say that he already wasn't. He already didn't create himself in the flesh, right?
How could he exist if there was no matter? How could he exist in the flesh if there was no matter?
Because he created the matter. That's the whole point.
Okay, so then before he created the matter, or are you saying that the matter always existed?
No, I'm saying that he created the matter. The matter cannot. If the matter already existed, then that would completely debunk.
So that means that there was a state of affairs where the matter didn't exist, but God still did.
110%, absolutely.
Which means that this is a mind without a body, which we have good reason to dismiss.
Can I ask you this real quick? And
yeah, please.
And this is just my personal thoughts on it. Okay.
Go ahead.
And it's going to vary from. I argue with other Christians because there's a lot of denominations within Christianity that I disagree with. That's why I don't go to church. I think a lot of people use it as a social status, right? Personally, I do.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of things but that's not the. That's
Go
not
ahead
the point
and make the point. It's not
but
relevant.
the point is that we talked about dinosaurs earlier, okay? And we talk about why they're not here no more. Obviously, we know that as far as scientifically speaking,
I actually didn't bring up dinosaurs at all. I didn't bring up dinosaurs at all.
I did. That's what I'm saying. We talked about it earlier. We discussed it.
Okay,
I brought it
but
up.
you were rebutting an argument I didn't make.
Right, but the meteor took out the dinosaurs, right? Well, at that point, if it completely made a whole, a whole I don't know what we'd call it, a race of animal, right? Completely just erased, but it didn't erase humans, right? Because we were here. I believe personally, we were here after
what argument
the dinosaurs.
Are you making a counter argument for against something?
I'm making the argument that because speaking with other atheists, right, that I've spoken with.
Okay, you're
right,
not. I don't care what other atheists said. I don't care at all about what other atheists said.
It's the point.
Address what I said.
Right, but I'm addressing.
Please address what I said.
Okay, and
okay. Do you remember what I said?
Is that yes? You're saying
okay,
that.
What did I just say?
Could he exist? How could he exist outside of time and matter if it already wasn't here? Which is the point you were trying to make earlier, correct?
The point I was trying to make is that you agree that there is a state of affairs where God existed, but no time and no matter existed, which would mean
because he had to create that.
In that state of in that state of affairs, God was matterless, so without a body, and God was timeless, so without time. But both of those things are exactly the kinds of things that we understand a mind to require.
But you cannot. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but you cannot say. But if he created those things, just like he created everything else that you see around you, outside, obviously, there's a lot of man-made things, right? But you get the gist of it. Is if he had to create those things in order to continue through with his creations, right? He has to start with creating matter and time, because without matter and time, you just have nothing. It's just empty void.
Yep.
So you have to have a starting point. So to your point, that you have to start with time and matter. So you can't sit there and say that, but you cannot. Yeah, before that, there's nothing.
There wouldn't have been anything. So God couldn't have had a mind.
How could he not have a mind if he created?
Because minds require time and matter.
Our minds require time and matter. If he's a spiritual being, he does not require time and matter.
Look,
if it's spiritual,
I understand the claim. We just have overwhelming evidence that minds are the kinds of things that require matter.
Yes, but you are confusing. You're confusing our matter, our physical matter, to spiritual matter. That's
wait, are you saying that spiritual matter is a kind of matter?
I'm saying, I'm saying that you're misunderstanding. You're trying to say that it has to be physical. It has to have a.
That's the evidence that we have. That minds have to be attached to physical stuff. All of the evidence in the world says that.
Let me ask you this, okay? Do you believe in? And this is to further prove my point. Do you believe in anything that is like when people die and they say they're spirits, right?
No, I don't believe in any of that.
Okay, so you don't believe in any of that stuff. Okay.
No.
So, if you don't believe that, but there's instances that occur, right, where there's things that happen that you physically cannot describe, right? If something horrific happened in an environment, in a home or something like that, and someone was just a bad thing happened, and that evil matter is still there. It's not connected to anything. It's not connected to nothing, but that spirit is still in there.
How does this address the overwhelming evidence that minds are always attached to physical bodies?
Because that's what I'm getting at, right? Is that those things, those entities, are existing without a physical.
I don't think those things exist, and in fact, we don't have evidence that those things exist. Like at best, we have like anecdotes, we have like stories, but this is not like evidence. So if we're looking at the evidence that we have, if we're looking like strictly at the data that we can all confirm, minds seem like they require physical bodies.
Have you ever experienced okay, let me think of a different way to word this to try to make a little bit more sense. Okay, so when something happens, right, in your life. Let's say a relative passes away, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you are in a place, let's say a familiar place that y'all two did a lot of things together, right? It could be a home, prime example, okay? And a chain of events can occur where something odd just happens, right? A prime example, I was in the hospital room, right, when my grandfather was in the hospital. My grandmother had already passed away, and I smelled her perfume right before he passed away. There was nobody else in the room, and I smelled it. Now, is that me? Is that mind playing tricks on me? Sure, very well could be, right? But you have these senses, and you have these things that are undescribable that you cannot physically describe. But that's why people say, "Oh, I had a guardian angel," right? Or I had, hey, something was watching over me this day.
Yeah, lots of vibes. There's lots of vibes, right? And no evidence.
But, right, those things have no physical attachments here on Earth,
and also no evidence for them.
No evidence. Okay.
Right, like these are what you're literally describing vibes. You understand that you're literally describing vibes, right?
But that's not. It's not vibes if it's events that are occurring in real time. That's not a vibe. That's not a feeling.
It's a vibe if you say, yeah, it feels like somebody's watching over me. That's literally a vibe.
Okay.
It's a feeling. It's not like something connected to like reality.
So you're dead set on the idea that when you die, that's it. It's pitch black. There's nothing whatsoever.
I mean, look, I'm pretty agnostic about what happens to our personal experience. If I'm correct about the way the mind works, then yeah, the mind shuts down at the same time that the body, or around the same time that the body shuts down. Now, I could be wrong about that, but the evidence that we have suggests that minds are intimately connected and require a physical body.
Okay. So, and honestly, man, I'm gonna be completely real with you. Coming into a topic like this, right, from somebody who I don't read the Bible front and back, right? There's guys out there, they study it and they are real smart at it. And to find the answers that you're looking for, you need to sit there and have the discussions with those individuals, because coming from somebody like me who simply looks at it from what I view as a realistic perception on it, right? Just talking to somebody and just throwing extending that hand of, hey man, like, just if you look at it like this and try to look at it from a different lens than just your hardcore scientific, hey, no, there's no way possible this, that, and the other, then it's going to be very difficult for you to find the answers that you're looking for. I truly believe too that if you just believe in the science of it, if you're solely living off of science that man created, okay, that man has come up with, it, they have discovered, right? They're saying that, hey, this is true.
Shouldn't we just believe what there's evidence for? What there's arguments for?
But the people creating the evidence and the people who are creating these arguments.
Yeah, a lot of them are theists. But a lot of scientists prior to like the 1950s were theists. They believed in God.
But you're going based off of man-made thoughts and
literally all thoughts are man-made.
Yes, but that's what you're basing everything around you, and you're basing what happens to you when you pass on and what you think is going to happen to you solely based on things that man have said to be true.
Yes, so are you.
You're taking that.
So are you, by the way.
Law. But I'm not taking that.
Yeah, you are. Who wrote the Bible?
Yes.
Who wrote the Bible? Was
You're
it God
talking
or was
about
it man? Any of it.
Well, obviously, if it's in print,
right?
Man.
So the thing that you're getting your ideas from man.
But how did man write the Bible?
That's a good question. But regardless, man did write the Bible.
But how did man write the Bible?
Regardless of how, you're getting your ideas from man who wrote it down on a piece of paper. But in the same way that I am.
But how did man write the Bible?
With a pen.
You know what I mean? Like, but there had, okay, first of all, not a pen. If you want to get,
it would have been like an old style pen, not like a ballpoint pen, but like yeah, it's a pen with ink.
But we're talking about things that occurred that happened here on Earth.
Yeah, to people.
To people.
Yeah, so this is man. Hey, these ideas are man-made.
Right, but it's not man-made ideas if it came.
They are.
If it came straight from the source, if it came straight.
Wait, do you think that God put the ideas? Like, do you think that God like incepted the ideas into like Mark's brain? Or do you think Mark was just recording what he saw and what he thought?
Everything in the Bible sits there and it talks about, like, prime example, right? When they talk about when Jesus was down here and I forget how long
Jesus didn't write any of the Bible. So we're not talking about what Jesus, we're not talking about Jesus' thoughts. We're talking about like the authors of the Gospels, the authors of the letters.
Yes, but it is recorded of his time down here and the miracles that he was performing and how he was healing the sick.
So the people, so even if these things happened, you're still getting the ideas about them from people. Man-made. These are man-made ideas.
But man cannot create and make up an idea.
Literally, we do it all the time. What do you think creative thought is?
So then that's in the same boat. Then all your science that you're going off of is just creative thought. It's creative thought, and then you go and you check it, you test it, and then when it comes true, you're like, oh, okay, I have evidence for this. Guess I have a good reason to believe this idea. Your evidence, but again, if your evidence is going to be things you're going to find that's also created by man.
Well, no, you're looking out at the natural world generally.
To sit there and fall in line with what you're researching. Right?
No, I mean you're testing the natural world, right? This is not the evidence doesn't come from man. The evidence comes from the world. Now, man goes out and looks for it, and tries to figure out what it is, but we're really just probing the natural world. We're probing the way the world is when we do science.
So how do you define good? Like how can you put into words of good and evil? Right, because
I think that good and evil are like things that good things are things that we value, evil things are things that we disvalue.
That we disvalue. So, but when you said things we disvalue, are you strictly talking about acts that are committed that we look down upon, or are you talking about anything that you disvalue?
So like obviously there's a spectrum, right? Like I disvalue like lying, but I don't think like telling a white lie is evil, right?
Okay,
so like there's a spectrum, obviously.
Okay, so, why is it that you have people out there, right, who, because obviously, as a Christian, right, I believe in heaven and hell.
Yep.
Right? You have your good and you have your evil. And obviously not we all, because you don't, right, but obviously Christians believe and know that sin came from when Eve ate the apple. She ate the forbidden fruit.
Why did God let the snake into the garden?
Of free will.
No, I mean, but the Garden of Eden was being guarded by Gabriel and a flaming sword, right? So like it was locked. It wasn't like anybody could just wander in. They had a guard posted at the doors. So why did God tell Gabriel, let Satan into this garden so he can go seduce my infant children?
So
weird.
It is the simple fact of free will. He gave them direction. He gave them.
How does free will mean that he was allowed into the garden?
Do not eat this fruit. Do not do it. Right? Do not fall into those temptations of evil, and you have nothing to worry about. And what did they do?
No, but they were tempted, right? That's the important point. It was Satan's fault. They wouldn't have eaten it if Satan hadn't come and like deceived them. So why did God let Satan into the garden?
To see if Adam and Eve would sit there and abide by his rules.
Well, hold on, Ty, I gotta ask, like, let's say that I was like a father, right? And like I was in charge of a daycare system. And like I have like a 3 and 4 year old, let's say. Okay. And I send my children to the daycare system that I own, that I'm the owner of, I'm the company owner or whatever. And then I get a phone call from my neighbor or maybe from one of my employees, hey, you know, your cousin who was in jail for molesting children, he's wandering around outside of the daycare. Should we let him in? If I then say, yeah, let him in, he has free will, doesn't that make me a shitty father?
Yes, absolutely. But we're talking.
Why did God do that?
You're talking about somebody. You're talking about two totally different things here, because
yeah, you're right, because Satan is worse than a child molester. Satan is evil incarnate, which, you know, child molesters are pretty close, but Satan is worse than that, and he let him in to go tempt his literally infant children. Like,
so
what's up with that?
So you believe that Adam and Eve were so if God gave just simple direction, right? Hey, listen, don't
they were
do this.
Infants. They didn't know anything.
And then that occurs and that happens. That's why you have sin. That's why Cain and Abel. That's why, you know, you have Cain and Abel. That's why Cain killed Abel, because Cain is a descendant of the devil, right? Because when it says she ate the forbidden fruit, what people do not understand is that forbidden fruit, no, she laid in bed with him, right? That's why you have evil in the world. Cain is descendant.
Hold on. I just want to check. So let's say that I'm the father. I have these like 2 young children, you know, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, or something like this. So that you know, they're not like literally helpless, but they don't really know better. And I tell them, yeah, don't go get into vans with strangers. And then I still let the child molester into the daycare. Was I being a good father?
No, why would you do that? But we're talking about
why would God let Satan into the garden?
Because it's simple direction.
Yeah, and it's simple. It's a simple direction for the children not to get into the van.
But that's why we have good and evil in the world, is because of that act, right? But because of what happened in the garden, okay, that's when we have good and evil.
Yeah, but it's God's fault. It's not Adam and Eve's fault. It's God's fault.
How is that?
Because God let the child molester into the daycare.
You're sitting, but you can't. You're sitting there and you're placing the word child molester into a daycare.
Yeah, so the Garden of Eden was literally a daycare because there were like these completely naive, didn't know anything people that are God's children, and he put them in this perfect paradise, the daycare, and then he let the most evil thing to ever exist wander in. Like, what?
So how?
Why would he do that?
Let me ask you this then, and as far as time restraint goes, and maybe this is just my different perspective on it, but how could Adam and Eve be children if Eve gave birth to Abel and Cain?
They weren't physically children, they were mentally children. They didn't have any experience of the world. They didn't know what goodness or evil was because they hadn't eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They were ultimately naive. They were naive like children. They had no experience, no knowledge. They didn't know anything. They didn't know what it was to be tempted.
So you're trying to compare being naive to
being naive, to not knowing the difference between good and evil, to not having any knowledge of the world, to being a 3 or 4-year-old. Yes, I am making that comparison.
But you have to understand what you're saying is that you're putting a lack of knowledge of something in the same category, in the same boat as literally being a child, a physical child. Those are two totally different things.
I'm not. The physical age is irrelevant. Okay. Actually, then let me change it up for you. Suppose instead of them being children and a daycare, suppose it's a care facility for developmentally disabled adults. So these are adults, but they don't understand the world. They have no knowledge of the world. They have no wisdom. These are adults, and I, as the father of a pair of these adults, I put them in a care home for the developmentally disabled that I own. And now there is a rapist who, my cousin rapist, unfortunately.
You have a fucked up family.
It's not my act. Okay, actually, in fact, this would be closer to like my nephew or something, because Satan is like it's a fallen angel or something. So like my nephew, who's like went to jail for rape or something, is approaching the care facility that I own, and one of my employees calls me and says, "Hey, your nephew rapist is approaching the care facility.
I understand.
If I then say let him in, then I'm a bad father.
Yes, I understand the points you keep trying to make. You keep making the same point of why would he allow?
And it's a perfect analogy.
Why would he allow evil into a place where there was to be no evil?
Why would he allow evil into a place where that evil could take advantage of the innocent?
Right, I understand exactly the point that you're trying to make, and I gave you the valid reason behind it. Is because he wanted to see if they could follow simple direction. He gave them simple direction. So hey, don't do this. It's simple. You can be a child. You can let's not say child. You can be an adult. I could tell you, hey man, hey, do not stick a fork in that. Hey,
does that make it okay?
Mr. Dr. Blitz, hey man, do not stick a fork in that light socket. It's gonna hurt really bad. And you can be like, okay, and then one day, like, fuck it. I'm gonna put
hold on. So, okay, if I tell my children, who are adults but developmentally disabled, keep in mind they have the intellect of a 5-year-old, say, I tell my children who are developmentally disabled, they don't know anything. If I tell them, hey, don't talk to this guy, right? Don't talk to my nephew. Don't talk to him. He's a bad guy. But I still let my nephew go hang out with them. Am I a good father?
If you tell them not to do something.
Yeah, and then I make the situation. I create the situation where they are going to be tempted to break my rules. Does that make me a good father? Or am I putting them in danger regardless of what I told them?
And these are, if you're talking about physical children.
These are physical adults. These are physical adults. They're developmentally disabled.
Okay. So
they don't know anything.
But all you're saying is that you're pretty much saying that Adam and Eve were dumb. Plain dumb is what you're saying.
They weren't playing dumb. They were actually dumb. They hadn't eaten from the tree of knowledge yet.
Not playing dumb. They were just
dumb.
Playing
dumb. Yes, they were. They hadn't eaten from the tree of knowledge yet. Of course they were dumb.
Right.
They didn't have knowledge.
But if you have no knowledge of something and you tell somebody, hey, do not do this. That's all. Just don't do this. I'm advising you. I'm telling you, do not do this, and you still go and do it anyways. You should be taking. If I don't know something and I ask somebody, hey man,
would you blame the developmentally disabled for disobeying you when you put them in danger?
If you're talking about someone who is actually disabled mentally, right? They're physically, they're mentally disabled. Those people, they're just physically cannot process anything whatsoever. Their brains cannot do that.
Exactly.
Right?
This is a good point. So the point is that when God told them that you shouldn't do XYZ thing, they don't understand because they don't know what good and evil are. They haven't eaten from the fruit of the tree of the fruit of good and evil, or of knowledge or of good and evil or whatever. They don't know whether it's good or bad to obey him. So they don't understand. They don't even understand what a command is if they don't know what good and evil are. They don't know that it's good to obey the command. So it seems like that they are exactly in the same scenario as the person who doesn't, as the developmentally disabled person who doesn't understand your command.
But you could put that into anything. You could put that into any scenario you want to, of someone telling somebody who is unfamiliar of a subject, hey, don't do this. It's not good. Take it for, and you can.
They don't even understand what it means to obey. They don't understand why they should obey at all because they don't know what good is.
So if they have no concept of good or evil, all they know is that just pure direction.
No, they don't even know that.
This is my.
They don't even know that. They don't know
how
any
do you
of
know
that.
Okay. So if they don't know direction, but yet they were living beings with mind and body.
Yep.
Mind and body, with time and all, just like you said has to be. Okay. Then how do they not have a sense of direction? How do they not have a sense of anything if they're physically aware of of their surroundings? They just don't understand good and bad because bad didn't exist yet. And that's what I'm saying. The
point is they didn't even know that good existed. There's no evidence in the Bible that God gave them any other directions.
If all you know is good, then that's just the way that.
So they didn't. Would they have had any reason to think that they should obey God?
Well, absolutely. What if they would have had?
What's the reason that they would have had?
Why?
Yeah.
Because that's what they knew. They had direct communication. Hey,
yeah, but why should they listen to God? Why?
Because that's their father.
Okay, why should they listen to their father?
Why should you listen? Why would anybody listen to their father?
Well,
right?
the reason why I listen to my parents is because the reason why there you go. The reason why I listen to my parents is because I think that it is good to listen to them. Right?
Okay. So
but if they don't know what good is, what would be their reason?
It's simple direction. They knew what good was. They lived in good.
They didn't know what good was because they hadn't eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's not just the tree of knowledge of evil. It's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They didn't know what good was.
So with all that stuff that occurred, okay? As far as Christians are concerned, that's why we have good and evil. That's why there's sin in the world. Okay?
Because of God. It's God's fault.
Again, free will.
Well, yeah, but God didn't have to let the snake in, right? Is the point.
So if you have, but that's how Christians sit there, and that's how we sit there and we put into reality of why we have good and evil in the world.
I know, right? You avoid this question, but it is super problematic for the Christian view.
You sit there and you just say that it's just things that I look down on.
It's things that we value and things that we disvalue. Yeah,
they value and disvalue.
Sounds like a better account than like the maximally good, all-powerful, all-knowing being letting in the most evil thing ever to exist to go and harass and seduce his effectively mentally challenged children. Seems like a better explanation, than that.
Okay. So, is there anything that you? It's obviously you have a moral compass. Everybody does.
Yep.
I say everybody. There's people out there that don't, but good people have moral compasses. Okay, what do you base your moral compass on other than your thoughts and views? Your values, exactly. Yeah. Your values. Okay, so and your values are characteristics while having positive intent, right? Your values are things that you deem good, that you deem valuable, that you love, right, and that you dislike, right? Yep. What's right and what's wrong. So, with that being said, okay, that all your moral values stem from the way you feel about something. Okay? Yep. If you sit there and your moral compass is set on those things there, and in the Bible we have like the 7 deadly sins and stuff like that, or people sit there and your moral compass will share characteristics of what is inside those things, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not, commit adultery, right? All these things that we all mutually agree are things should not.
Actually, one of the things in my moral compass is that thou shalt not own other people, but that's not found anywhere in the Bible. In fact, it's actually like kind of the opposite is found in the Bible.
As far as owning other people is concerned, obviously, that's not
found in the Bible.
It's not. You should not own. No one person should not own another individual.
Except the Hebrews, who should own foreigners bought from the nations around them, right?
And I get that, right?
So you're right. I don't get my morals from the Bible. I get them from arguably a better place. I get them from myself, which is seemingly more moral than the Bible is.
You have morals that are found in the Bible because you don't think killing, because you don't think that killing is right.
Some of my morals are found in the Bible. Some of them
you don't think
adultery
is right.
Some of my morals are found in the Bible. Some of them are not.
Right. So, and those
some
morals
of the morals found in the Bible are definitely not mine. I definitely don't think that like gay sex is immoral.
So, in man, I'm trying to find the best way to just give. My goal here, yes, I'm trying to convince you that God is real,
That's
but
okay.
I'm
That's what
also
your goal should be. That's
brother,
fine.
I'm also wanting to do everything I can to just try to give you some sort of food for thought, because you've heard all this stuff a million times, right? And there's only so many ways that everybody who's a Christian could probably word it to you. I'm sure you've heard all of it, right? From every direction.
Have you heard the things that I've been saying before?
I have. I've heard everything that you've been saying, and
So then,
everything
like-
that you're saying
like-
is. I get why you would view those things that way,
Okay.
right? Just like I understand why. Like, I don't dismiss other, religions for valuing what
You
they
just think that
believe.
they're not real.
If they don't know about Christianity, right? Like, if I didn't grow
Everybody
up,
knows about Christianity.
if I didn't grow up here in America, or I didn't grow up in the West, right
Mhm.
here, places where those value, like that religion is dominant, and I grew up in China, right? Then all I would know is their religions. They don't
Yeah,
practice Christianity.
They
there.
know about Christianity, though.
Yes, they know about it, and why? But they know
They're
about
not
it
ignorant of it. They just don't think it's
Right.
real.
right? Because they don't think it's real. Okay, so I don't dismiss those people and think that they are just absolutely SOL when the day comes, right? If you don't know and you're oblivious to it, or you're
They're not
just
oblivious to it.
you're oblivious to the fact that you're not you don't know, right? You only know what you know. That's anything, right?
I don't know what
And
that
if,
means.
if your exposure,
Look,
you're-
I get you're trying to be like not hateful and not like think that everybody should go to hell. Like I get that. It's irrelevant to the
Right.
debate though. The point is
But
that like the morals that I have don't necessarily come from the Bible. I have morals that can't be found in the Bible. And there are morals in the Bible that I think are abhorrent. Why
Right.
should I think that the morals in the Bible are somehow that the Bible should somehow be a better bedrock for morals than what I use?
why?
Yeah.
It's simple,
Yeah.
because it is you can find scriptures for every single one of those morals that you find in there. Everything it comes with stories, it comes with wisdom, it comes with things that you can tie to it, connect to it, and also put into
Like owning
perspective and what's
slaves.
going on in real life, right? So, prime example, like the whole "thou shalt not kill," right?
What about owning slaves? How about that one? How about how it's
Well,
okay to
obviously-
own slaves?
But it's not okay to own slaves,
You sure?
right?
You sure that
110%.
God doesn't endorse that?
Because when you're talking about slavery as far as what man has committed AD versus what biblical time slavery is, of servants serving and doing what they did, those are two.
No, it's property.
different-
No, it's they're your property. It explicitly calls the slaves in the Hebrew Bible. It calls them property. Chattel slavery. These aren't just servants that you like pay nicely and then they get to go home at the end of the day and they can quit whenever they want. They are property.
I get your point, man. I do. I again, do I think that slavery is okay? No, absolutely not. But we're also sitting there and we're basing something that occurred. I don't even
God
know how.
endorsed it. God told them how to do it.
Yes,
This
he
isn't
told
just
them how
like,
to
oh,
do it,
this
but-
is just how it was at the time. No, God told them how to do it. He could have just told them not to do it.
Were these people who were
These were ancient Hebrews that were wandering around the desert, so it's not like they already had slaves. They had just escaped slavery, and God's like, yeah, here's how you can own slaves.
I get the points that you're making. I do.
It
I
should make you question it. It
But-
should put some doubt in your mind.
It can't. It doesn't put doubt in my mind, because I've had too many good things come to me through prayer and stuff like that, I can't find a coincidence. I've had too many good things happen to me that have helped me through things. You know, reading the Bible, praying about it, and stuff like that brought me comfort and peace of mind that I can't, like, feelings like inside of me that I cannot explain. To me, it's unexplainable. There may be someone out there.
Somebody said in the comments that your brain has been hardened.
My brain's been hardened.
Yeah, like Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I can't explain it to you because you wouldn't understand if you haven't experienced it yourself.
Look,
right?
I agree that personal experiences can be very compelling, but you have to recognize that all of the data except personal experiences is like strongly pointing the other way.
It will point that way as much as you put your commitment and your everything in you into that. Yeah, it will point that way for you.
Yep,
whereas if you look at it,
that is where the evidence points.
Exactly. Whereas if you look at it from the other side of it, and Christians who, like your pastors and the people who go to the school to study scripture, and people who sit at church every Wednesday and Sunday, right? Their evidence is sitting right in front of them in that book. Between those two,
the book that tells people how to own slaves.
Those two leather bindings. And again, you know, do I think that slavery is acceptable? No, I don't. Can I explain to you why?
The book that you're getting your belief from endorses slavery.
Can I sit there and explain to you why that was acceptable and okay at the time, other than the fact that
because God told them that it was okay?
Because He told them that it was okay. No, I can't explain to you because that's what it says. I don't have to you don't have to think critically about it. I know. I personally don't have the knowledge behind that to sit there and give you insight on that. Yep. I can't do it. I can't misspeak on it because I don't know.
You should think about it then, because it's definitely something that is problematic for your view. Ty, you've been on for almost an hour, so I'm going to let you go, but thank you for being here.
All right. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Take care. Actually, he was on for more than an hour, but you know, I didn't want to end it prematurely. There was a guest in the comments named Bang who really wanted to come up because he was saying low tier versus low tier, but I guess he's not in the chat box anymore, or in the guest box anymore. So I guess Bang lost his opportunity. Let's read some super chats and we'll bring on another guest. Thank you guys, by the way, all of you, for the super chats. From Chaotic Life with the $1, just send in the one Canuck buck rather. From Mr. Jingles with the £5, nothing to say, just enjoy listening. Well, I appreciate you, Mr. Jingles. From Bacon and Bush with the $10, how is X possible? Before you answer, allow me to dismiss your answer before you give it. If I even allow you the time, yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? From Poker Shark with the $5, I'm behind, but what's confusing about us being one substance, 12 atoms, and in 7 dimensions? How are you not getting this? But seriously, dude is unwell. Yeah, he may have been. He may have been. From Grant Howard with the $10, Chainsmoker here. I'd like to apologize for being disingenuous. I just really wanted to debate what I thought was the best case for Godhead. Obviously, I was outmatched. Sorry, love your content. Never do it again. If you want to if you want to ask questions about arguments, you don't have to lie to do that. You don't have to lie about your beliefs in order to say, like, hey, I'm an atheist, but can you help me understand why this argument is bad? And if I'm in a good mood, I'll be like, yeah, sure. Like, you don't have to lie. And if I catch anybody doing that, you get banned from the Discord server. Them's the rules. From Jack Fetter with the $5, I hear your question, I will consider your question, then summarily reject it and ignore it. I know, right? From Eat Some Shorts with the $5, Noah was the original Tiger King. Indeed he was, and koalas, and other things too. From Tim Davidson with the $2, the koala bolt? It's possible. It's possible that Noah built an ark, so he could build a catapult, right? From Jack Fetter with the $5, he used the word obviously a lot. I do not think it means what he thinks it means. Yeah, I mean, like, look. Some people use that kind of language colloquially. I'm not going to hold it against them. From Burger Cheese with the $2, rename stream to Vibes vs. Scientists. Yeah, vibes are a strong opposition, it turns out. From Otto with the $2, caller Ty Jordan is a Bible believer. Oh, I see what you did there. Bible believer. I'm picking up what you're putting down. From James Spesh with the $5, they could not know good versus evil yet. They had not eaten of the tree. That's exactly it. They like, look, they didn't have the intellectual capacity of like an infant, but they knew nothing. They had no wisdom. They had no knowledge. They had no morals, right? They didn't know what good and evil were yet. So they have no reason to believe God or to obey God if you don't have morals. From Tim Davidson with the $2, the all-knowing God had to find out. Yeah, that was something else that I didn't want to push him on because that's a whole separate thing. But from Alex B with the $10, thank you so much, Alex. This caller's line of thinking is why I took it super personally when my infant nephew threw up on me after I told him not to. It was a simple instruction, right? You just tell them not to throw up, and when they do, blame them. Put them in timeout. From Rodblow Alres with the 100 Mexican pesos, there's not even an afterlife. Pitch black. There's not even an afterlife pitch black if nothing is there to perceive it. Regardless of science and religion, if there is a chance for anything, it's right here. That's all we know for sure. That's a good point. That is all we have. That's all we have for certain. From James Petch with the $2, poor Ty, please don't transition to the moral argument. That's where he was trying to go, and then I deflected. I pivoted. I dishonestly pivoted to the Garden of Eden argument. But like any time that a Christian brings up why there's evil in the world, automatically go to the Garden of Eden argument, because they like it's A, incredibly rhetorically effective because the analogy is so explicit, and B, it's actually a good argument in my view. You can't really account for why God would let Satan into the Garden of Eden. Now, by the way, in the Hebrew Bible, it's not Satan, it's just a snake. And that can be explained. So if you're Jewish, like this argument doesn't work. Because it's just like a snake, and snakes are just like dicks. But like, you know, they're an animal, and so they're allowed to be in the garden because all the animals are there. But if you're a Christian, that snake is not just a snake, it's Satan, right? From James Patch with the $5, for every moral ought in the book, you can find an obligatory moral evil. I don't know if there's a one-to-one, but there's definitely a lot of them. From Dr. Fudge with the $10, the worst part is that he supposedly gave them rules for owning slaves right after they experienced that horror for themselves. Of all times to reflect on the wrongness, that should have been it, right? It should have been so easy to be like, just as you were slaves in the land of Egypt, so you suffered, so shall you not cause the suffering of others. It would have been so easy. Like, maximally easy. From 50-foot punch with the $2, Mr. Blitz, the trees, Mr. Blitz. Mr. Farina. It's so funny. All right, let us bring up our next guest. It looks like Bang's not in the guest box, so we won't bring them up because I guess they ran away. Let us bring up. Let's bring up. I feel like Blitz's pet hyena is not going to be opposition, so let's bring up Martini Lemon. Martini Lemon, you are on the show. Martini, how's it going?
Yeah, it's good. I'm Catholic.
Okay. I'm not. Why should I be Catholic?
Okay, maybe I will prove the existence of God first.
Sure. But it better be the God that you believe in. Not like some vague God that doesn't have the properties of the God that you believe in.
All right. Yeah,
okay,
fair.
Then go ahead. Yeah. So why should I believe in God?
I would say with arguments for causality.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. What? Which one?
Everything has its everything that we know has to have its cause. Like,
does that include God?
When you hear my voice, I am the cause of it.
Does God have a cause?
To good God. No, God is self-caused.
Okay, so then not. Oh wait, so things can be self-caused, is what you're telling me.
God is, but not other things.
Oh, that sounds like special pleading. Why can't other things be self-caused?
Like only the first thing can be caused.
Okay,
because
why does that first thing have to be God?
Because if you go back and back and back, you have to find like one principle.
Why couldn't the thing that self-caused? Why couldn't the fundamental self-caused thing just be the universe?
That's a good argument.
Okay.
But because universe is finite. Because
that doesn't seem like it's related to whether or not it could be self-caused. Also, it's not clear to me that the universe is finite.
And because we had like Big Bang, and
I don't think that the Big Bang tells us anything about whether the universe is finite or not.
Also, you don't think any universe had any beginning?
I don't think that we have any evidence that supports it one way or the other.
All right. Yeah, that's so
And in
could
fact,
be that universe
most physicists, most cosmologists rather, don't think that the Big Bang points to a beginning.
So you don't know what was before the Big Bang?
Yeah, I don't even know if there was a before the Big Bang.
Something?
Sorry?
Yeah, exactly. So time begin at the Big Bang.
No, I don't know if that's true.
So time was before the Big Bang.
Maybe.
Okay. And space was before the Big Bang?
Maybe.
No? All right. So there
I don't think we have enough data
before the Big Bang.
Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't.
Right.
We don't have enough data.
Okay, and maybe that was God. We don't know.
Right. I still don't think I still don't think God was involved at all. But
yeah, right.
You know, I don't think that means that we have to know what did happen. We can just know what didn't happen. But I mean, if you're making a causality argument, it seems like it just fails if you consider that the universe is the thing that caused itself.
And yes, but like the thing that caused itself should be not finite, because finite things have the beginning and the end.
Okay, suppose that the universe isn't finite.
Because the universe is finite.
Suppose that's true.
Okay. So
say the universe is infinite then. No problem.
Okay, why universe expanding?
Because it's currently expanding.
Yeah, but if it would be infinite, it will not have expanded.
That doesn't follow. You could have an infinite cycle of expansion and recollapse. You could have some sort of conformal cyclic cosmology where it's always expanding, but once you get to the epoch where there's no particles left, it's equivalent to being small again, even though it doesn't ever actually recollapse. You could have an infinite series of baby universes popping in and out of or popping into existence and sometimes out of existence. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you could have a universe that's always existed without ever requiring that this universe expanded forever.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. But okay, if universe was infinite,
sure,
then it should have some properties like other than we observe.
Like what?
Like more like it should be maybe in some way conscious, or
why should it be conscious?
Because if it's infinite, it's nothing that this universe would lack. Or
that doesn't follow.
That would
it being infinite, it being infinitely old and perhaps infinitely large doesn't imply anything about any other properties.
Like, shouldn't be everything. Like, the universe should be everything if it's infinite.
Well, the universe is everything, yeah.
Large.
But it doesn't have to have all properties.
So like, it shouldn't be conscious, or
doesn't have to be. I don't see why it would be.
Because if it's everything, and we are conscious.
Yep.
So shouldn't be a universe that is everything. So is also us.
Well, so it can contain consciousness, just like how it can contain small things. But it containing small things doesn't mean that it itself is small.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not clear to me why it should be why the universe should be conscious, even if it contains conscious things.
Like, all right, let's say that's true. So it doesn't have an end, doesn't have a beginning.
Not if it exists eternally. No.
Yeah, if it is eternal. So basically, we should get somewhere like outside of the universe. Like, no, it's not possible, but no, all right. Like, that's a good argument that the universe could be infinite and be self-caused. I would say that Einstein theory doesn't support it.
Sorry, that what? That what doesn't support it?
Like Einstein theory doesn't support
Einstein's theory. Einstein's theory absolutely supports it. You're talking about general relativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely does support it. In fact, there's something called an Einstein static universe, which is exactly this. It's a universe that exists forever.
All right. Okay, I'm not physicist, so of course. Right now, that's a good argument. I will not go further because this is a good defense for the argument for causality.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about, or do you want to call it there?
No, I can add like you can if you want, you can research some miracles and why some doctors that were atheists researching these miracles believe them, and
I've looked into them. I'm not really compelled by really any of the miracles that are presented. Most of the time, the miracles that are presented are very, very small things. And most of the time, they're also things that happened a very, very long time ago that we don't have really good evidence that they happened at all. Of the few ones that allegedly did happen in recent years, they're very poorly supported. Like there was an alleged miracle that happened somewhere in South America, I want to say, where the Eucharist literally became muscle tissue from the heart. And so like this is the claim, and so they sent it off to a doctor, a forensic analyst, to go examine the heart tissue, and the doctor that they sent it to was a Catholic who had written books prior about miracles. They didn't send it to an objective person.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, this doctor said it was real, therefore it's real. Like, I don't know. It just seems like they're not really doing like the honest thing.
Yeah, but you have also example of Padre Pio, where the doctor that were atheists,
I actually think I may have seen. Sure. Yeah, he was a Capuchin, right? I've been to the Capuchin monastery in, where was I? In Rome, maybe? I actually know about Padre Pio, interestingly enough.
Right,
I went through a museum that was devoted to him. Seems like a chill guy.
Right. Yeah, he was depends, but yeah. And he had like this stigmata on the hand, and doctors were examining him outside of the church, and they concluded that they don't know explanation for his of course
for why he had holes in his hand.
The existence. Why he had this cause, and also the Fatima miracle, sun dancing.
I'm familiar with I'm familiar with that one. The sun miracle of, it was in Portugal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one sounds a lot like the kinds of things that people would see if there was an expectation of a miracle, and B, a bunch of people stared at the sun.
Yeah, but all the people seen the same things. Even the people in other cities around this place were seeing things. Even the people that
we're made out of God, but you didn't say that space is God.
Place of praying, there didn't come to the exact hill. Even the people around this place were seeing allegedly the sun dancing, but of course they
were looking at the sun. They were this is exactly what you would expect somebody to see if they were looking at the sun, if they stared at the sun, right?
Yeah, but there were no expectation of miracles.
There was, because a few there were expectations of miracles because these kids prophesied it, right? That's what makes it allegedly a miracle.
Yes.
So of course there was going to be an expectation. They were primed to see something because they had heard that maybe they're going to see something.
Yeah, and all of them saw the same thing.
Yeah, they all saw exactly what you would expect to see if you stared at the sun.
Yeah, right. I need to try it. I'm joking. All right. Yeah, that's all. I will finish here.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Martini. I do appreciate it. Have a good one, okay?
All right.
Take care. He was a nice guy. I actually did go to the Capuchin monastery in Rome. It was, you know, it was interesting. It was you know, it was something. All right, let's bring up a guest. Let's bring up Lucas. Oh, I forgot to read super chats. I'll read them afterwards, but make sure to send them. Lucas, how's it going? Wait, that's not Lucas. No, I meant to bring up Lucas. I'm sorry, Will. Get back in the box. Back in the box. Lucas, there you are. How's it going?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can. Lucas, how old are you?
I'm 14.
Oh, you can't be here. 18 plus, my guy.
Oh.
Sorry. Bring up username. Username, how's it going?
Hello. I'm doing okay. How about you?
Doing all right. Do you believe in God?
Yeah, I have no doubt that God exists.
Okay.
But before I get into my arguments for God, can I discuss something you said before?
Sure.
You said that you have good reason to not believe in God because because minds are non-physical, right?
No, I said because minds seem to always be attached to bodies.
Yeah, but that's a fallible justification, right?
It's an inductive inference. It's not a deductive argument.
Yeah, so it is fallible. So if you have good reason to believe otherwise.
Yeah, so if you have sufficiently strong evidence that can that even in light of this very strong inductive evidence that we have, that can lower the credence, then sure, I'm all ears. This is just a very strong piece of evidence that indeed minds in fact are always attached to bodies.
Well, listen, they're not necessarily related by any mechanism, so I don't think it's very strong.
We have very strong evidence that they are.
Okay, just I know
but just to be clear, I'm not actually making the claim that minds are physical. I'm making the claim that whenever minds exist, they're attached to bodies. Now, whether or not the mind is like causally connected to the body, that's not a claim I'm making.
Okay, yeah, sure. But if you say it's not causally connected, then it could simply be a coincidence. Like just give me
it could be, but our evidence suggests otherwise, right?
Okay, yeah. So let me just make it clear. I don't know if you've heard about this before, but if you, for example, observe a large population of white swans, then you're gonna assume that all swans are white. But of course, that's fallible.
That's fallible if you try to make a deduction from it. What's false is premise 1, all the swans I've seen are white. Premise 2, if all the swans I've seen are white, then all swans are white. Conclusion, all swans are white. That's fallacious. I mean, the second premise is just, I mean, it's a valid argument. It's just not a sound argument. The second premise is just not true. However, what is a very sound argument, and this is how we do science actually, is if all of the swans that I've observed are white, then it's likely that all of the swans are white. All of this, and then premise 2, all of the swans that I have observed are white. Therefore, it is likely that all of the swans are white.
I agree. Listen.
And so that's the argument I'm making. I'm making an evidential case. I'm not making a deductive case using the mind-body relation.
Yeah, sure. I fully agree, and I understand what you're saying. Induction and deduction are not the same.
Right. But, so if you did understand that, you wouldn't have made the criticism that you just made.
Okay. No, I would say because listen, in science, the induction is much stronger because we can study and find mechanisms that relate them causally. Mm-hmm. So it's not the same as pure induction.
I mean, we can do the same thing with minds, but you probably would reject mind physicalism, which is why I'm not going to do that. But the point is we do have causal mechanisms that relate the mind and the body. Now, you might say that we can't prove that, but that's not the point. We have evidence.
Okay, well,
it's an evidential case. So you were going to make an argument, so go ahead.
My point was just to first make it clear that induction is fallible. And also,
sure, induction is fallible, but if you want to reject induction, then you're rejecting the entire scientific method, which, no, by all means, I guess.
I love science, don't worry. Yeah, you spoke with the guy, and he was talking about something like the cosmological arguments.
Yep.
And you said why can't something cause itself, right?
Well, no, he said that the universe, or he said that God causes itself, and I just granted that. I actually don't think that things can cause themselves. Cause is usually an asymmetric relation, but I just granted that for the sake of argument.
Okay, do you agree that something cannot come from nothing, meaning that if something began to exist, then it has a cause?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree to that.
Why not? We have a massive induction evidence for it.
We do classically. When we start looking at quantum mechanics, though, we start seeing events that seemingly have no sufficient cause.
Listen, I'm no physicist, but I've heard that there are causal explanations to everything that happens.
Not sufficient causal explanations. Yeah, so probabilistic causes are not sufficient causes.
I mean, I don't agree with that. It's still causal.
Well, no, I mean, a sufficient cause is a specific thing. It is that when the cause is present, it necessitates the effect. So if you're talking about sufficient causes, then no, it's just not the case that we need that all of our evidence suggests that all things that begin to exist have sufficient causes. Now, you might say that all things that begin to exist have some sort of maybe partial causes. Maybe that's defensible, but that's not usually what people mean, because then we could just talk about other partial causes, like some sort of explanatory principle that doesn't imply necessarily that one thing will exist, but it allows for something to exist.
Okay, sure, but do you still agree that if we are in the unknown, then we'd rather assume that we're well justified to believe something has a cause if it began to exist?
As an epistemological method, I think that that's probably fine. That's what we do in science. As an ontological status, I think not. It's a separate claim.
How are they separate? Ontological statements are justified by epistemology.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm suggesting is like that. It's perhaps reasonable epistemologically to seek out explanation, right? To not assume that there isn't an explanation. At least don't assume that too early, right? But so I think that that's totally fine, a totally fine way of approaching investigating the world. But that doesn't therefore imply, just because this is like a method that is a good way to investigate the world, it doesn't therefore imply that that method will A, always be successful, or B, have some underlying ontological status to it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's inherent in induction anyways, I'd assume. But okay, well, first of all, can you just tell me, for example, where quantum mechanics could break causality?
Yeah, so it's sufficient causality. So here we're talking about the conditions. If the conditions are present, then that necessitates the conclusion. So we can have two identical worlds that have identical states of affair with identical laws, where you have, say, a uranium atom in both of them configured identically. So the state of affairs prior to the uranium atom decaying is, or prior to the experiment being set up, they are identical in every way. And yet, in one of these possible worlds, the uranium atom can decay in 1 second, and in the other possible world, it can not have decayed in 1 second. And so now you have two different possible worlds with identical conditions, but no sufficient explanation that can account for that difference.
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah. Well, listen. If something begins to exist, then you'd at least assume that it has some explanation for its existence. Then
perhaps, yeah,
there is some sort of ontological dependence.
Yeah, perhaps.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, you'd at least try to investigate it. You may find that in fact there is no such thing after you exhaust all of the plausible options. But at least you should that's like a fair thing to when you're trying to figure something out. First, try it. Assume that that's the case, and then just see if you can, figure it out. That's totally reasonable. I agree.
Okay, but another thing I just thought of is that the cosmological arguments is mainly based on cosmological scales, not quantum scales. So
that's okay. I mean, the cosmological argument is not a physics argument. It is an argument about the nature of reality. And so if the argument fails at some level of the nature of reality, then the argument just it doesn't deductively hold. Now, if you're trying to make an inductive case, then I could make an equally strong inductive case that things that begin to exist have physical causes.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I assume that's why most of them assume it's a fundamental metaphysical principle. But recently I've moved away from that. Well, anyways, this was just an extra. I also want to discuss another topic. Of course, I can't fully convince one person, one instance, because your philosophical commitments are different than mine, and there are a lot of things that we know. Well, first of all, do you believe that the universe can be? I mean, do you believe that time is something real in the sense that it describes the universe appropriately?
I think it's probably as real as space is.
Okay. Do you believe, for example, in cosmological time, that's very accurate to describe the universe?
Do I think that cosmological time is very? I don't know what the question means. Can you rephrase it?
Okay, so you do believe, as far as I know, that the idea that the universe began 13.8 billion years ago.
No, I don't believe that.
Okay, just by the standard, we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into that, but just by the standard understanding is that it began 13.8 billion years ago.
No, it's
at least the universe as we observe it.
Perhaps the universe as we know it today. Yes, sure. 13.8 billion years ago, that's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're going to understand why. So you do agree, as far as I know, that measurements is done from one specific reference frame for time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, do you believe that measurements is accurate as a whole?
Do I believe that measurements are accurate? If you do them, if you do the measurements well, I guess. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you believe that the time in the universe can be portrayed by a real number line in some sort of way?
Yeah, perhaps it's a truncated real number line, but yeah. Or perhaps it's topologically a circle, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay, so basically, if you're gonna assume it's a real number line, and I'm gonna to give you context, I'm gonna try and argue against an infinite universe by your view of time. So
okay, go ahead.
If you assume it stretches back to, let's say, minus infinity. By minus infinity, I mean by negative time. I mean just time before some reference point.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
So if you're gonna say it stretches back to minus infinity. And this instance right now, okay. First of all, if we have two instances in time, A and B,
yep.
Then and A is our reference of time.
Yep.
Then the time right now is the distance between A and B in the sense of time B minus time A.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. That's the amount of time between two moments in time. Yeah.
Okay, so in general, the distance in a real number line is a good portrayal of the time right now given some reference.
Right.
Okay, so if you take a reference to minus infinity, then the distance becomes plus infinity.
But minus infinity isn't a point on the real number line.
Yeah, but we can take a limit.
You could take a limit, yeah, but the limit between any 2 points will always be finite. So if your question is there a finite amount of time? Even in the limit, there's always a finite amount of time between any 2 points.
How come? If you have
okay, so here's the function that you want to evaluate. So you take say we're at t equals 0 right now, and you're going to take the limit of the function. We'll call it f for finite, f of x minus a. F of minus a, where a is going to go off to infinity, and f evaluates whether or not there is a finite or infinite amount of time between a or minus a and 0. And it does this in a Boolean way. So it spits out 1 if there's a finite amount of time, and it spits out 0 if there's an infinite amount of time, if there's not a finite amount of time between a and 0. And what you'll find is when you take the limit of this function as a goes to infinity, you'll find that the limit is equal to 1.
So it's finite.
So it's finite. Even in the limit, and the reason why this is because if you take a sequence of finite things and you evaluate a function that spits out whether the function is finite or not, it'll always, every element of the sequence will always spit out finite, and so the limit will be finite.
This is interesting, but I don't know if I can fully take it from you because I don't know the context of this Boolean function.
It's just a function that spits out it spits out the cardinality of the set that has I mean, we can make it more specific if you wanted to. You take so what it does is it takes in, so if a was 1, then it should spit out that the cardinality is finite, right? If a is 2, it should spit out that the cardinality is it should spit out finite. If a is 2, it should spit out finite. If a is 3, it should spit out finite. And so what you'll find is that for any sequence of a's where a is increasing, it will always spit out finite for any sequence, which means that the limit will be finite.
Yeah, I get your point, but I don't think I'm not sure if this reasoning is valid. I mean,
that's how mathematics works. Like, I could formalize the mathematical argument for you if you want.
Can you tell me what this function is called? I'm gonna research it later.
It doesn't have a name. It's just a Boolean function that, and like we could construct it right now on live if you wanted to. We could say that, you know, what the function does is it maps each, so rather than working over the real numbers, we can work over the integers because that makes it a little bit easier. But arguably, you know, you just map each day to an integer, and so, you know, yesterday would be -1 and the day before would be -2 and so on. And then what you would say is you take the absolute value, or you would take the number, you would take negative a, so if a is a negative number, you just get the positive number. You would map that integer to any set that has the cardinality of a, and then what you would do is you would evaluate whether or not the cardinality of a is finite. And what you'd find is that in the limit, this function it would be finite in all cases. You know, for all limits.
Isn't this the method they use to evaluate the cardinality of sets in general?
I mean, yeah, you can, but well, no, actually, no, it's not. No, the point is that if you want to evaluate the cardinality of sets, if you want to compare the cardinality of sets, what you're going to do is you're going to try to construct a bijection between them. And if you can't construct a bijection, say if there is an injection but not a surjection, then you would say that the set that you're injecting from is going to be smaller in cardinality than the set that you're injecting to. But that's not how. But what I'm suggesting is not how you compare cardinality. Instead, what I'm saying is that, like, you could construct a set for any day in the past that corresponds to the number of days. It's like the set of days that have existed between then and now. And what you'll find is that for any day that you choose in the past, it will always be finite.
Okay, well, I don't fully understand. I'm gonna be honest. I get your point. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to map a injection at least. But first of all, I don't fully understand. That's one. And secondly, I don't know if this is like appropriate for modeling time. So because let's come back to what I said, and we're gonna come back to what you said, and we're gonna compare both of them. Sure. You said it was valid to take the distance between 2 points in order to count the time elapsed, right?
Yep. For any 2 days, say today and, you know, 1 trillion days ago or however many days ago, you can always figure out how much time has elapsed by just taking the difference in, you know, the points on the number line. Sure.
Okay. Well, listen. If you're gonna do the time, okay, let's name this instance B. And some arbitrary instant before now, A,
yep.
Right? So if you're gonna do time B minus time A, and you're gonna stretch A to minus infinity, then obviously that goes to plus infinity.
Yeah, except time A, like minus infinity is not a number.
Yeah, but if we take the limit, if we take as A approaches as time A approaches minus infinity.
Right. So what is true is that if you keep pushing the days back, the number of days will grow without bound, but that doesn't mean that there's any time period that is infinite.
Okay, but
there's no duration that's infinite, right?
But you agreed yourself that the time elapsed is time B minus time A. So you agreed
but A is, you can't plug in infinity for A. A is not a time.
I said time A, like TA.
Sorry, infinity. T equals minus infinity is not a time.
I said, okay, listen. Let's set up time elapsed equals time T sub B minus T sub A, okay?
Yep.
And then we can take the limit as T sub A goes to minus infinity.
Yep, and then the time will approach infinity, yeah. But for any particular day, for any particular day, it's a finite amount of time.
Listen, okay, first of all, you just agreed that the time elapsed goes to plus infinity.
It approaches infinity. That's the point.
Okay.
Which just means it increases without bound. For any day, you can still assign a real number, or you can assign a real number to it.
Yeah, sure. But if you're gonna say it goes to plus infinity the time time passed, then you just admitted that if we have an infinite universe, well, I'm not gonna say you admitted it, but it basically implies that if you have an infinite universe stretching back to infinity, then the time elapsed from that minus infinity, we can just pretend it's a real number and treat it that way.
But that's the error. You can't just pretend it's a real number.
I said
it's not a real number.
We can. It's for convention. We can always use a limit, like they do this in physics too.
No. You can use a limit, but the point is the limit is not saying that something actually equals infinity. It's a limit. That's the point.
Okay. Well, what does it mean for the universe to stretch back infinitely to the past?
That every day has a day before it. That's all it means.
Every day has a day before it.
Yep.
Okay, well, if this day has a day before it, then there's an infinitely many days. There are infinitely many days.
The cardinality of days would be infinite, yeah.
Then what's the issue with using infinity to describe the time?
Because
elapsed?
infinity, the amount of time is a number. It's not a cardinality. This is actually a really common mistake. So people generally assume that finite numbers and finite cardinalities are just the same thing. This is comparing ordinals and cardinals.
No, I'm not doing that.
You are, because you're suggesting that because the cardinality of a set can be infinite, that therefore you can treat that as an ordinal, that you can treat it as a number, that you can do arithmetic to it, but you cannot.
If we have a real number valued function, we can take the limit and it could be plus or minus infinity.
Right, but that real number valued function never is equal to infinity.
Okay, but if you're gonna say that every day has a day before it, then that's if you do that process infinitely many times, that's the same as stretching time back to minus infinity.
Yeah, so there would be so for every integer on the real number line, you would find a day. That's true.
Okay, so there are infinitely many days.
Yeah, that's a cardinality. Not an ordinal.
I'll switch the mode. So let's assume there is someone who lives like all those days. How is he gonna live through infinitely many days?
Well, I don't know what it would mean for someone to live through all of those days, because generally when we talk about people, they're born, right? Okay. So I think that there's a contradiction in saying that somebody was born infinitely many days ago.
Listen, this is just a thought experiment. We use this constantly in philosophy.
You use thought experiments constantly in physics, I agree, but you don't use thought experiments that are incoherent.
It's very coherent.
So suppose that somebody... The logical impossibility is that somebody was born infinitely many days ago. That's the logical impossibility.
Okay, well, just assume that someone is eternal. Like, what's the issue?
Okay, that's different. Now I have no issue.
Well, that's it.
Okay. So then what's the issue?
Okay, so or we can exclude the person if you want. Okay, so let's just assume one day. So let's assign the real number 1 to each day, right?
Yep.
So if you live one day, that's 1. If you live another day, then that's 1 plus 1 equals 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, how are you gonna have infinitely many days passing? Like, this is clearly a divergent sum. It's not like
there is no amount of days. There's no finite amount of days that the universe has existed. I agree.
Well, yeah.
It's divergent. The number of days that the universe has existed is divergent. Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're answering yourself. How can you have a divergence amounts? Like, if you're gonna have plus infinity with regards to the time elapsed or the amount of days lived, how are you gonna have an infinite universe?
What's the issue?
Divergent. The issue is that you have to pass through an infinite amount of days.
What do you mean pass through? From when? When do you have to start to cross over an infinite amount of days?
Okay, I'll reword that for you. That would mean an infinite amount of days elapsed.
Sure. There's an infinite amount of days in the past. Sure. What's the problem?
No, wait. They elapsed.
Well, I mean, I take the B theory of time, so like, I don't really distinguish between. I mean, if you just want to say by they elapsed, that means that they're in the past, then sure. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, listen, if I can convince you that you can't really elapse an infinite amount of days, then I don't know if this is gonna get anywhere.
Do you think that it's a little bit puzzling to you that like physicists don't find an issue with this?
Listen, they cannot find an issue. I don't. It doesn't really change anything
And like
for me.
most philosophers also don't find an issue with this.
As I said, it's not really an issue for me, right? Like.
Okay. Well, it's like
listen.
the way that you said, well, if I can't convince you that you can't elapse an infinite number of days, the way that you said that made it sound like, oh, this is so obvious. If I can't convince you of this thing, then like there's no hope.
Yeah,
but like
it is obvious.
it's not obvious because most physicists and most philosophers don't agree with you, and these people are the
Okay,
people
well,
who study this as their job.
Listen. Yeah, you need
It
to
might just
understand
it might sound obvious to you, but it might be because you don't
I'm not
understand
saying
something that it seems obvious.
No, I think I understand what's going on. But
Okay, what's
listen
going
to me. Philosophy does not have any methodology, right? So you're gonna have a varying amount of opinions, and with each time, it's in each.
I mean, by the way, it does, especially if you're doing analytic method or analytic philosophy. It absolutely has a methodology.
Yeah. I listen. I studied analytic metaphysics, and it does not have as much methodology as you think it does. Because
well, I mean, I don't know how much you think I think that it has, but like the point is that like there are like the fact that analytic philosophy specifically uses rules of inference, like that is a methodology. But you know, maybe you think that I think that there's more than that. But we don't even have to do that. We can talk about physicists. Physicists also don't agree with you.
Listen to me. Listen. Whatever methodology you use for metaphysics, it's gonna really depend on what opinion you hold. Like in meta-ontology, for example, there are many methodologies in order to find what we should believe to exist or not. But in science, there's one clear methodology. There is a consensus.
What's the consensus?
Most things.
We use the scientific method.
For example. Yeah, exactly. Like there's no such thing as the scientific method in philosophy.
Yeah, sure, that I agree with. That I agree with. But like if you're doing analytic philosophy, like you are strictly using rules of inference, right?
Yeah, of course.
And like that's a methodology. Maybe it's just not broad enough for you, but it is a methodology. Suffice it to say, though, even if you don't like the philosophers, that's fine. The physicists also don't agree with you. The cosmologists don't agree with you. They don't think that this is some crazy impossibility. This is like a very real, very possible thing, in fact.
Listen. The many people can believe many different things. Their job is to study the universe, but these things are touching the bounds of philosophy. It's really hard. It's not really part of their job to answer these questions.
Are you familiar with the B theory of time? You said you studied analytic metaphysics, so you must be familiar with the B theory of time, right?
I've read about it before. Yeah.
Okay, so the B theory of time doesn't even take the view that time is the kind of thing that elapses. It's just different moments that exist, and they exist equally. Every moment exists as equally real as every other moment. And under the B theory of time, there's no issue. Not even like actually, I don't even think that there's an issue under the A theory of time for an infinite regress, but certainly under a B theory of time, there's no issue. So like, you know, I do just hold to the B theory of time, as do most physicists, as do most. Well, actually, I don't know about most philosophers, but as do most physicists. So the infinite regress critique is not going to be. It doesn't hold any weight against a B theorist.
Yeah, for time, sure. I mean, this was just an experiment. This is something I've thought about, but it depends on that's why I said at the start, it depends on really what you take time to be. That's why I asked you in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I take it to exist, and you know, this is the reason why I hold this view is because this is the kind of view that's consistent with relativity.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't really think time exists in the first place. But,
okay, well, you're. I mean, like. You don't even think it's emergent?
I think time is descriptive of a structure, but it's not really existing in essence.
Okay, I have no idea what that means, but if there's a structure there, I may as well call it existing.
Sure. Yeah, practically sure.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's what it means for a thing to exist. Like, I mean, I'm just a structure, right? But like, you know, I exist.
No, listen. Like you can believe space-time to be literally existence as an essence, but you can also believe.
I don't know what you mean by as an essence. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, well, what does it mean for you for space-time to exist?
That it interacts with the world and it can be interacted with.
Okay, then that's by essence. I don't agree with that.
Okay, well, it can interact with the world. What do you think gravitational waves are?
Listen, I believe that space-time is something we've conjured up with our minds to explain gravitational waves, but it doesn't really exist. It's
okay,
just
so then what are gravitational waves?
I can't give you a surrogate explanation because this is not
Okay,
my
well,
job, but I'm sure
it seems like the fact that we have an explanation that does a really good job, and you don't have an alternative. It seems like that the current explanation is a good one.
Yeah, listen. Oh my god, these comments are making me laugh. It's so funny.
Somebody said you really wanted to say wallahi. Is it true? Do you really want to say wallahi? Because I will give you one wallahi.
No.
Okay.
Okay, well, listen, I can't really convince you, but we can move to something else. Like, I didn't really come here to convince you because it's really hard to convince people, right? Like,
generally,
even
yeah.
you, it's really hard to convince, especially in like a TikTok live stream or a Discord
Sure.
debate or whatever. Like,
Yeah, sure. You spend a lot of time in Discord debates, huh? Mr. Anime Profile
No.
Picture.
No, actually, I'm very busy, but sometimes I go in there to troll and debate. But yeah. So I want to talk about something else. I'm a Sunni Muslim, so
Sure.
I also believe that Islam is a true corpus of knowledge. And I believe that the Prophet Muhammad did have miracles and prophecies. And I want to discuss one prophecy. I'm sure you've heard of it before, and I'm sure you've discussed it. I
Yeah,
just
sure.
want to give it a go. Okay, have you heard of the Roman Sasanian War?
I have. In fact, I thought that you were going to bring this one up. And correct me if I'm wrong, and this is just, I'm not a Quranic scholar, I imagine you're not either. But correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really know when that war ended, or we know what year that war ended, but we don't really know, when that war ended is not the time frame that was predicted. So most, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but most Muslim scholars say that actually the time frame that was predicted was really about when the decisive battle happened, right?
Yeah.
But my understanding is that we have no idea, no contemporary or no alternative historical understandings of when this battle happened or if it happened, except what the Quran says.
No, I don't know what battle specifically, but the war in general definitely did happen, and the Heraclitus.
This is the Roman Sassanid War, right?
Yeah.
And this is the one, or the Byzantine Sasanian War. It's that one. So that war ended in 628. When was it predicted? When was the war predicted, or when was this battle supposedly? When did this battle supposedly happen?
I mean, I don't really agree with a specific time frame.
Isn't there a prediction? Something like it would rebound and achieve victory within 3 to 9 years or something like that.
It says in a few years, and people interpret that 3 to 9 years.
Yeah.
So,
Originally it was 5 years, but then they changed it to go up to 9 years, according to what my ex-Muslim friend has informed me. Maybe you disagree with that, but I think that that's actually in the hadiths, so in that we can check. But the point is that even if we grant 9 years, I guess the prediction was say 615 or something like this. So 615 plus 9 years max would give 624, but the war didn't end till 628. So why is it referring to, why does it refer to 624 or some period between 615 or between 618 and 624 if there's nothing specific that it's pointing at? That make sense?
I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. That's what you mean by makes sense, but
yeah.
My point is that if you're gonna have a time period like that, it's not necessarily precise, nor is there anything implying that it's specifically the end of the war.
But then what's the prediction? Because it's kind of vague.
The Byzantines will rebound, and it's not a bad vague prediction at all. A vague prediction.
It is vague. It is vague. It doesn't specify a time period, and it doesn't specify what it's actually predicting. It just says that they will rebound within 3 to 9 years. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Muhammad was a fairly experienced strategist, was he not?
Only in the late years of his life, but yeah.
So the Byzantine Sasanian War had been going on for 13 years prior to when the Quran was revealed, or around when the Quran was revealed. And you're telling me that it's super unreasonable for Muhammad to be able to evaluate the quality or evaluate the characteristics of the war and predict that the Byzantines would be successful? I don't know. It doesn't seem that far-fetched to me.
Okay, I'll get to, this is, you made the point and I'm gonna respond to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing is, the war was really unlikely to like have a comeback, and this is not just what I'm saying. This is, you can go to academic historians and they said this as well. There were even past academic historians, as I've read in the past. There was an English scholar who said that there was nothing more unlikely than the Byzantine rebound. He wasn't Muslim, but he praised the Prophet for the prophecy.
There's nothing more unlikely than the Byzantine rebound. I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing that a Muslim would say.
He was an English scholar and he was not Muslim at all.
Okay. I mean, like, you know, maybe he did say that.
Yeah, and it's not just, you can see at, you can look at contemporary historians, they would say, tell you it's unlikely, it's not really, this is not really hidden knowledge. As far as I know, the Roman Empire was really close to collapse before Heraclius took reign because of the Sassanid War.
Yep.
Like it was.
Yeah, but Heraclius had taken power by the time the Quran came out. So like maybe Muhammad is like, yeah, this new guy's really good. He's gonna turn it around.
Hold on. Okay, so he took power in 610 CE.
Yep, which was 5 years before the Quran came out.
Okay, well, 5 years is not really... Okay, listen. First of all, you need to stop looking at it from a modern perspective. Like, knowledge and analysis was very scarce back then. It's not like now.
5 years is plenty of time for a war that's like an enormous war that's taking place in like between like the two dominant empires at the time to make its way over to Muhammad. He was a merchant. He had a lot of connections. This is not so far-fetched for the war, for news of the war, for news of Heraclius's takeover to spread within 5 years. That's not so far-fetched.
These are not the same claims. You're mixing two claims. I said there's not enough information for a valid analysis. Not that he just hears of the war. Like, that's not the same thing.
But I mean, like, look, so
there will be a good amount of time elapsed before each portion of the news reaches him. Because,
I mean, look, so clearly we can agree that he would have known that Heraclius would have taken power by the time the Quran came out, right?
Sure.
And I don't see any reason to think that he wouldn't have been paying attention to news of the war.
Yeah, sure, but as I said,
in fact, you're right. There could be a pretty significant delay, but it could have been that by the time he was writing the Quran, he had just heard about Heraclius coming into power, and he's like, "Yeah, this guy's gonna be able to do it. He'll be able to do it in 3 to 9 years."
Okay, have you ever read even about contemporary political analysis?
No, like, but I don't have to rely on contemporary political analysis because Muhammad wasn't a contemporary.
Not just academia. My point is that political analysis.
You don't mean modern. You don't mean modern historical analysis. You mean the analysis at the time.
No. I mean, like, even nowadays, do you see how like people analyze and predict wars on the news or like political?
Yeah. What about it?
It's usually highly fallible. Do you not agree with that?
Yeah, but sometimes people get it right. I mean, there is that one guy, that one Chinese fellow who makes YouTube videos who like predicted that Trump would win the presidency and then predicted that Trump would invade Iran. And so, like, you know, sometimes people get it right. It's not common, but it does happen.
Yeah, of course, but there are different probabilities for different events. Like,
yep.
It's not the same.
And this is not the kind of this is not the kind of event that I think is particularly unlikely. Like, it might be like a less than 25% chance, but that's not like enough to make me think that it was a miracle.
Okay, but listen, this is just my first point. I still haven't gone to the other ones.
Sure.
But my entire point with people who criticize prophecies, I think that they don't view it holistically enough. They're just trying to stick to one point and feel better about rejecting it. But
I mean, the point is if you can come up with a plausible explanation for every prophecy that succeeded, and if you can point out prophecies that failed or explanations that failed, then that gives you good reason that probably the prophetic claims are probably not reliable.
Okay, just I want to go back to the topic about the Chinese guy. Okay, I think you would agree that him like predicting that Trump would become president is not the same as
no. He also predicted that Donald Trump would invade Iran.
Okay, but that was pretty obvious from Trump saying before. He already said we need to. No,
apparently it wasn't obvious to everybody else. So, and it also wasn't obvious that Trump would win the election.
No, listen, you gotta be honest with yourself. Like,
there's a reason this guy got super famous after Trump invaded Iran, and it's because people went back and like, damn, this guy predicted that. That's why he got famous.
Because people are stupid, not because he predicted it. As I'm gonna tell you.
Well, I agree people are stupid, and I agree that this guy's like a psycho. Professor Jiang is a psycho, but that doesn't counter the fact that he actually did say that these things would happen, and then they did happen. But we don't say that it's prophecy.
Okay, but listen to me, please, just 1 second. The USA before Trump. Okay, listen. Like, if we talk about Trump winning the election alone, I don't think that's unlikely at all. Like, we're gonna be honest here. Like, come on. Like, are you really gonna say that's unlikely? I don't think so. It's a really easy prediction.
I mean, if you looked at the betting markets, it wasn't like it wasn't heavily skewed in Trump's favor. It was probably like, I mean, we could go look. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 60-40 in Trump's favor.
Betting markets are not probabilistic analyses. They're just
betting markets are a good way of determining like what the general view is, though, what people think is likely to happen.
Yeah, it's
and so if it's the case that he thought that something that other people thought was unlikely to happen, if he was correct about something, then that would be surprising.
Okay, what did you say just now? Sorry, I didn't.
If somebody predicts something that the rest of the population thinks is unlikely, then it would follow that the person who predicted the thing predicted an unlikely thing, which makes the probability of that happening low.
Yeah, sure, but as I told you, they're not the same level of unlikely. And also, listen, the Iran war was not unlikely whatsoever because USA and Iran had tensions for years upon years.
Yeah, and we still never went to war with them. So to say that it was expected. I mean, Trump didn't even go to war with them in his first term. So like, you know, this is exactly the kind of thing that was unlikely, actually.
Okay, well, first of all, this is just one point. I'm not saying this is conclusive proof of the prophecy at all. I'm just trying to set up the stage to tell you that it was not something arbitrary or likely. It was unlikely by every sense of the word, and I'm not saying this alone. As I told you, that contemporary historians would tell you this too. And you know that in the modern age, academics are generally very skeptical of religion. And, like, you can search it up right now if you want.
Let's search it up right now.
Okay.
I want to go to a website that doesn't say provingislam.com.
No, sure.
Just for the record. Okay, so okay, so I'm just looking at some stuff just to get a vague idea as to like what the actual non-Islamic consensus is. So I have to actually scroll through like 100 things that are Quran.love, Wiki Islam, vocal media.
Wiki Islam. Bro,
Yeah,
you know Wiki Islam is like against Islam, not for it.
Is it really? Is it really? That's crazy. Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah. Just have the domain.
I don't know if there's no way that's true. There's hold on. And we could just look at this together. There's no way that this is like not a Islamic website, right? Like not pro-Islam. Like it has the like there's no way. It's gotta be. Oh wait.
Sure the last point, so it was like hold on.
Like it has like the crescent, the star and crescent, right?
Just read the about me of the page because I'm pretty sure
I'm going to. Like you might be right. Wiki Islam aims to provide accurate and accessible information from traditional and critical perspectives on the beliefs, practices, and developments of Islam. It strives to be the most comprehensive and accurate source on Islam freely and accessible online. Drawing from both Islam's primary sources as well as from the historical critical analysis of those primary sources by modern historians, currently Wiki Islam hosts 993 articles. As a non-political and non-religious site, the Wiki remains neutral towards religions, worldviews, and issues of a political nature, and likewise stays away from extremist, sensationalist, or emotional commentary. Wiki Islam is an international blah blah blah, is produced by an open blah 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 blah, scope and content, policies and guidelines, history. As of late 2018, ex-Muslims of North America initiated an overhaul of Wiki Islam with the stated goal of setting a high criteria of objectivity, neutrality, and professionalism. The mission statement and new policy and writing guidelines were added, while many articles on the site were removed, including satirical and polemical content, ex-Muslim testimonies, as well as op-eds and personal essays, articles, templates, hubs, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I guess it was taken over by ex-Muslims. That's really funny. So, okay, maybe we can use this as a source then. Do you think that it's a reliable source?
I mean, listen, I'm not going to tell you if it's reliable because I have no idea. I haven't researched the website's reliability. But if it's going to tell you it's unlikely, then it probably is.
I don't know. I haven't read it. We can go look at it together.
I think you should look into another website because I think this one is like emotionally charged.
I mean, they're striving to be as objective as possible, but okay, yeah, we can go look for another academic source that's making this claim.
But you need to understand one thing. Not everyone who claims objectivity is objective, right?
No, of course, I agree with that. It's just, you know, searching this particular thing, all I'm finding are Muslim sources.
Okay, let me try to find you one. Let me just ask ChatGPT if there's a source. I'm not gonna ask GPT
itself. No, that's fine. It's as long as it can provide a source. Here's skeptics.stack exchange. Anything?
I'm looking at Wikipedia right now because the other ones are pretty short or like they're journals. I don't think they're accessible.
I can access them. Don't worry.
Okay, there's one that ChatGPT gave me.
What's the title of the paper called?
It's by James Howard Johnston. It says Heraclius' Persian campaigns and the revival of the East Roman Empire.
And the revival of the East Roman Empire. Okay, let's see if we can find it. This is from 1999. Has 99 citations. What are the odds? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just freely available. I don't know why you didn't click on it.
Yeah, I assumed it wasn't.
Yeah,
no, I don't mind, of course. I don't think there's anything against me here. I can read it.
All right, let's pull it up. Here it is. Okay, so here is this paper by James Howard Johnston. The East Roman Empire seemed doomed to destruction in the winter of 621 or 622. From the outbreak of the war in 603, the armies of the Sasanian Shah Khurso II had advanced slowly but remorselessly into a heavily defended frontier province south and north of the Taurus. By the winter of 609-610, they had broken down the Romans' elaborate system of defense in depth and stood at the banks of the Euphrates. Stood on the banks of the Euphrates, that's kind of far from Byzantium.
Listen, we just started reading and he already said it was on the brink of destruction. So
yeah, but that was 6 or 7 years after the Quran was written.
What
right, so like
Quran?
the Quran, or after the, you know, Quranic revelation is generally put at like 615 CE.
Okay, but it was gradual. Like we need to look at the
chronology. Right. So then he wouldn't have. So if they were doomed to destruction 6 to 7 years after the Quran was written, then the knowledge that Muhammad would have been that they weren't doomed to destruction because that hadn't happened yet.
Well, but the Quran verse says the Romans have been defeated, so it seems that he did know.
Well, no, it says that there will be a victory, right?
No, but
it doesn't say that. I don't think that it says that they will be, that they have been defeated. We can go pull up the verse again if you want.
It does. It does.
100%. I just want to double check the verse because I'm pretty sure we just looked at this.
Just look at the Romans chapter because
I am. I know. It's Quran 30 verse 2 or verse 2. I want to say.
Look at verse 1 first.
Okay. Well, I can pull up the whole book or the whole chapter. Like if it'll let me. Verse chapter 30. The Romans have been defeated in a nearby land. So like the Euphrates?
That's
nearby.
So, I don't know.
So the Roman, but that doesn't mean that like the Byzantine Empire has fallen, right? That just means that the Romans were defeated in a nearby land. Yet following their defeat, they will triumph within 3 to 9 years. Well, is that like a battle? Does that just count as like a single? Would that count as a single battle, or?
Stop trying to pretend there is more vagueness than there is, because there really
there is. Triumph doesn't mean that they will win the war, right?
Okay, listen. If we're gonna say the Americans have been shot with missiles, it probably means Iran shot America, right? Like,
if the prediction just said that, if the prediction said that, let's say that you have like, I don't know, a Kuwaiti person says the Americans have been defeated in a nearby land. Does that mean that like Iran has like nuked the United States?
No, that means they have.
It probably means that like Iran has like won a skirmish in like maybe they like attacked and like defeated like an American military outpost, right?
But I don't know what point you're trying to make, because
the point I'm trying to make is that it says the Romans have been defeated or the Byzantines have been defeated, but that doesn't mean that they lost the war, because obviously they didn't lose the war.
Yeah, of course.
And so clearly what they're referring to is a battle, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so the following sentence is contrasting their defeat in a battle with a triumph. A triumph in what? A battle.
Well, of course.
And so all they're saying is that the Romans will win one battle within the next 3 to 9 years. Well, that's not a hard prediction to make.
No, listen. I don't know why you're trying to pretend like it's a single battle. Like, of course.
Well, no, it's because it's referring to battles. It's not referring to the war.
It's referring to battles, right? Like it.
Well, no,
like,
they were defeated in a battle, and then they will be victorious in a battle.
Okay, that's not what it says. It says,
well, I mean, were they defeated? Did they lose the war, or? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The verse is as clear as it can be. I don't know why you're adding things from your head, like a single battle or a single whatever.
Well, it's not clear. That's why. It's because it's vague.
Okay, let me repeat it to you. It says the Romans have been defeated in a nearby land, because the Byzantine Empire was near Arabia, of course. Like,
it's not near at all. I mean, according to the source that you sent me, they were actually, the nearby land was probably the Euphrates, which is much closer to Arabia than Byzantium is.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Then sure, that's the correct interpretation, and that was wrong. I don't mind admitting that. But as I told you, it says the Romans have been defeated, and but they will triumph in a few years. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what more you need from like it's not
because they didn't win the war within that time frame, right? They didn't win the war within that time frame.
Well, first of all, that's something else. Like, we're on the first point now, is that it was unlikely. Like, that's
well, no, the point is A, they didn't win the war within that time frame. B,
we can talk about the chronology next.
So if we're look, there's a few things that are happening here. First, it's not clear if they're talking about a single battle, if they're talking about a series of battles, if they're talking about territorial gains, or if they're talking about the war, right? So that's not clear. That's vague. So it seems like they're referring to a battle because they were, they're talking about it in a nearby place, but but it's vague, so we maybe can't tell. And so, first of all, it's vague. It's not clear. And if even the Byzantines won a single battle after during this time period, you could have said, well, they did win a battle, therefore they were triumphant. So you could count that as a correct prediction because it was vague. So the vagueness is a point against it. The second point against it is that indeed they didn't win. The most reasonable way that you might interpret being triumphant is being triumphant in a war, right? Like as a final act, and that didn't happen for another 13 years. That doesn't happen in the time period. Now, if you're talking about a specific battle, predicting that they will be successful in a single battle is not so surprising. Predicting that they will even be successful in a single region is not so surprising, because this was a long, drawn-out war. So you can't have the surprising aspect of, oh, they actually came back and won the war, but also recognize that that's not the thing that they were predicting because that didn't fall in the time period. You can't have it both ways. Also, apparently, Heraclius was actually, he actually did halt the Persian advance in 612.
Okay.
He expelled the Persians from Anatolia in 612, which would have been 3 years before the Quran was produced. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I need to go right now. It's not really related to your points. I just need to go because.
That's fine. Look, if things come up, you're fine.
Yeah, so I suggest that you look into it, and I don't mind. Of course, I'm totally against like bias and things like that, and assuming things are less fake than they are. But I think you need to look at analysis and look at both sides. I don't mind. Like look at the historical critical.
I'm looking
scholars.
at I'm literally skimming through the paper that you sent me right now. Like I'm currently reading it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can go ahead and read it. I didn't read it myself. I just ChatGPT suggested it. But yeah, you can feel free. And also, I suggest that you stop. You put things in their context and also look at things holistically. Like you need to see how unlikely it was for its time, and also you need to analyze the risk because this is a prophet. This is not someone who just came to do prophecies. He had an army behind him and he had a nation behind him. So if a prophecy did turn false in an explicit manner, like for example, the Byzantines just were wiped out, for example, then they probably would have killed him. Because that's just how Arabia worked, like if we're being honest.
Interestingly enough, I'm just looking at, I know I have to go, but I just think that this is interesting. So they say the end was evidently very near. Cursor was on the point of eliminating Persia's old rival in the sedentary world at the western end of Eurasia. 6.5 centuries of Roman rule, blah, blah, blah. So this is taking place, in the 620s, right? And then he says, there was an extraordinary reversal of fortunes over the following 6 years. Let us jump to December 12th, 627. So this next place where the reversal of fortunes is supposedly happened when he defeats a Persian army near Nineveh, that happens 12 years after the Quran. So it doesn't even fall within that time frame.
I don't know what your chronology is because the Quran was not revealed in one go. It was revealed through 20 years. So.
Okay, so when was the revelation finished?
Well, by his death, we can assume it's by the death of the prophets. But that's far after the event, of course. But listen, I need to go now.
Well, wait a minute. If it was far after the event, then how can we say that it was a prediction?
That's not what I said. I said the revelation happened far after the event.
Well, so then they stopped. Okay, so then we can't use this as a prediction of anything because we don't know when this part was written.
Yes, we can assume, we can try to find out when it was written specifically, but my point is that it was stretched out chronologically. It's up to you for you to research the chronology of the chapter specifically.
I get it. You have to go. I'll let you go. Thanks for being here, username. Take care.
Thank you.
I was being mega excellent faith by just granting that it was written before the follow or before the reversal of fortunes, but apparently I don't even know if we got that far. I don't even know if that's true. When was this chapter written? I'm gonna Google when was Quran book 30 written. I guess do we not even know? We might not even know. So how can we say that this was a prediction at all? Cringe. All right, let's read some super chats. From Tim Davidson with the $5. Yes, there are nope ropes, but there's also noodles that only want a snoop boop, also known as boop noodles. That's true. There are noodles that want snoop boops, also known as boop noodles. From Pensive with the $20, thank you so much. That's very generous, and it's going towards the new car fund. We're trying to buy a Nissan Rogue. We don't want it to have too many miles on it, and we want it to have some good safety features, but these are not cheap. So, and we really don't want a loan. We'd rather just like try to, pay as much as we can to reduce any payments that we might have to make. Because my wife and I are very averse to accumulating debt, which, maybe that's to our detriment, but it is what it is. Jotro with the 1,000 joules. Thank you so much, Jotro. I appreciate that. Contributes to the car fund. And from Cloud of Time with the $5, 2020 Phil Papers survey. Philosophers accept lean towards A theory is 27%, B theory is 38%, other is 3%, unclear is 4%, no fact of the matter is 3%, and agnostic 23%. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. I guess it does seem that as far as philosophers are concerned, a plurality of these philosophers accept B theory. And SUV, no, she's not pregnant. She just likes Nissan Rogues. And I'm not a competent driver. I'm a fine driver, but I'm nervous. So the safety features is a me thing. Like having the like the 360 camera, that's a me thing. And from Gretchen with the $3.11. Now that ain't how predictions work. Just saying. Yeah, they really aren't. It's I don't know. It's Rogue not reliable at all. My wife's mom has a Rogue and it's been a great time. So I don't know if that's true. Nissans are in fact highly reliable. Okay, everybody has opinions about cars. Everybody has opinions about cars. All right, I do have some Cash Apps to read as well. Let me make sure I read those really quick. So from Really Epic Lava Lamp for $5 for you've become my favorite YouTuber for the car fund. I appreciate that, Lava Lamp. That is very appreciated. And from Grimlock for hydration. My time zone is fucked. Oh, I'm sorry that you're in Florida. Thank you, Grimlock. I appreciate that. Look, I'm a fine driver. It just makes me nervous. That's all. Like it's like a few thousand pounds of steel that, like, if you slip, like, it just makes me nervous. That's all. Buy a horse. You can't eat a Rogue. True. True. I'd rather live in a city that I could just walk in, but I don't. That's the world that I live in, and so, okay, Yuki is really shilling for Volvos. Were any of you? I wasn't a former Christian. No. Okay, so yeah, it's a 2-ton bullet, right? That's what a car is. Stop shilling for Volvos. All right. We're gonna end the live here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Oh, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything else. One sec. Okay, I didn't miss anything else, so I'm gonna end the live here. I will be live tomorrow for a similar topic. I will see you guys then. Until then, make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow, whatever you want to do for those kinds of things. And if you want to support me, there are ways to do it. Just go to my website, it's blitz.phd, and then if you scroll down to the very bottom, there's like 4 different links. There's a Venmo there now, that's new, there's a Venmo. There's Cash App, there's Buy Me a Coffee, and there's Patreon. So consider those, and I will see you guys tomorrow.